Chapter 161. We have nothing to add. From the beginning, after Song Hang had started questioning disciples, the palace master and others had been astonished unceasingly. Instead of reducing everyone's amazement, he had only increased it. From the time Yang Chen had become the merit-transferring disciple to the time he left, in less than 8 months, every single disciple of the Nine Earth Manor, had been guided so thoroughly by Yang Chen. All of them were simply flabbergasted. Hearing the truth from each and every disciple, what kind of troubles they would face at what times in their cultivation, how their seniors had solved it in the history, how they could use other people as reference, and perhaps how to settle it. Rather than guiding, this could be called as guiding them by holding their hands so that they wouldn't get lost. Everyone, including the palace master, couldn't help but envy those who were outer disciples at this moment. If they had had such a merit-transferring disciple provide guidance when they had been at the Nine Earth Manor, wouldn't it have saved them many years of work? What's more, at that time, everyone entered the sect with some close friends. But each one had received their respective opportunities and had now become the palace master, a hall master and so on, while those close friends had already ended up as servants. If they had had such a merit-transferring disciple at that time, then maybe they would have been able to maintain the relationship with their fellow apprentices. In their excessive surprise, everyone began to see Yang Chen in a new light. Although Yang Chen was only a disciple at the initial foundation stage, among the people present, who could guarantee that, if they had been the merit-transferring disciple, they would have done a better job than Yang Chen. Leaving aside the fact that he was proficient in the cultivation of 5 attributes, just this knowledge and experience was not something everyone could compare to. Who could immediately remember which senior had come across which problem and how they resolved it at that time? In front of a wielding stage expert, the law enforcement hall's hallmaster Meng Xian, these disciples could not lie, especially when they were under the influence of his mind-confusing trick, so every word they were saying was completely true. There was no one who could raise any objection now, not even Song Hang. Yang Chen had just now correctly predicted his present problem and had moreover said that he knew a method to resolve it. This fact intimidated Song Hang so much that he was rooted to the ground, not moving anymore. He had been trapped with this problem for several decades now, and because he wasn't able to resolve it, Song Hang could only remain trapped at the peak Jidan stage, unable to move forward. He even had a strong feeling that, as long as he was able to break through this junction, he would immediately face his thunder tribulation and form his nascent soul and rush to the wielding stage. The person knew his own methods best. If it were not for this bottleneck, he would not have agreed to Liang Xiaoming's request to become the substitute hallmaster of the Luminous Moon Hall for the time being. He wanted to set aside his cultivation problems for the time being and then research other fields to find the path of breakthrough for himself. If Yang Chen had said his cultivation had reached a bottleneck, then it would have still been fine, because everyone knew this. Even if Yang Chen had told him his cultivation method, then it would still not have mattered, after all this was not some big secret, all of the elders knew, so Yang Chen knowing it was not a big deal. But Song Hang was shocked that Yang Chen had directly pointed out the crux of the matter. He had even correctly identified the condition of spirit power and the other symptoms. Even his master would not be able to know the condition of his body, but what Yang Chen had unexpectedly said was the exact situation. This did not just astonish Song Hang, instead it had already risen to the level of fear. But on the other hand, this had brought a pleasant surprise for Song Hang. Since Yang Chen knew everything about his current situation, that also meant that he knew where the problem was and what the solution would be. Only, Yang Chen had clearly refused Song Hang's intention of consulting him. "I know what I know, but why should I tell you?" These words were very clear. From the start, he didn't have any intention of informing him of the solution, but however much Song Hang's heart itched, he didn't have anything he could say to convince him. If their positions were switched, he also wouldn't tell anything to someone who had looked for trouble just after he had saved his master. Because of Liang Xiaoming and Chu Heng's relationship, as well as the matter of the second Fierce Yang courtyard, everyone in the Luminous Moon Hall resented Yang Chen. As long as they had an opportunity, everyone wished to teach Yang Chen a lesson, even to the extent of obstructing him, even for a little bit. It had to be known that, on the path of cultivation, apart from following the law of karma, the mental state was also very important. Even if one was very strong mentally, the emotional troubles and frustrations still accumulated and would make it extremely hard to make the breakthrough. This was the motive behind Song Hang's accusation of hampering the progress of students against Yang Chen. At most he would get a punishment, like examining his conscience or something similar, so he had especially come up with such a reason for the palace master himself to come and see the problems with Yang Chen. Only, what he hadn't expected was that, rather than finding trouble for Yang Chen, he would find a matter which would gnaw on his own mind instead. Clearly Yang Chen knew the method to make the breakthrough, but it was inside of his mind and Song Hang could not obtain it in any way. If he kept on holding this kind of anxious mood, that would precisely be a heart's devil. All the people present realized Song Hang's predicament and also understood his vexation over having no room of maneuver. There were as many rights and wrong as there were mouths, but in this situation, Song Hang himself was responsible for trying to become the spokesperson for the Luminous Moon Hall and Liang Xiaoming for venting their anger without thinking about the consequences. Even the palace master didn't know how to solve this matter. If Song Hang could break through, Pure Yang Palace would have one more Yuning stage expert, but at this very moment, even he could not ask Yang Chen to lend a hand. Only after this matter cooled down a little bit could he seek a method to resolve this. I see, regarding today's inspection, the merit transferring disciple, Yang Chen, seems to have done pretty good. The palace master clearly wanted to change the subject and turned to announcing the inspection's outcome. But just as palace master deliberately wanted to close the matter, someone had a different interest. Law Enforcement Hall's Hallmaster Meng Xian, who had always supported Yang Chen in the past because of his good relationship with Du Qian, stopped the palace master, saying that, "For the time being, hold the verdict. Just now we have only found a few disciples with low cultivation, but we haven't looked for disciples with a high cultivation, and moreover Yishu Manor's disciples also hadn't been checked. It is better if check all of them properly. Once Meng Xian opened his mouth, Song Hang also felt support and his mental state immediately began to improve. Until now he had been unable to obtain a solution from Yang Chen, so what harm was there in keeping the investigation of this matter open for the time being? Maybe he would be able to gain some leverage as well, so that he could make Yang Chen anxious. Yes, those disciples with high cultivation should also be interrogated. Song Hang immediately added. These past years, there haven't been any outer disciple building their foundation, clearly there is some problem. Strictly speaking, from the time Yang Chen had become the merit transferring disciple, there had indeed not been any foundation stage disciple. In the previous 8 months and the 10 months prior, for an entire year and a half, there hadn't been a single outer disciple becoming a foundation stage disciple. For low-level disciple, increasing their cultivation was very easy, but it was not so simple for high-grade disciples. Everyone knew this point clearly, and previously Song Hang had been preoccupied with finding low-level disciples, believing that he could catch Yang Chen's Achilles heel, but he hadn't anticipated that Yang Chen would leave a flaw so openly. Just now, after Meng Xian had reminded him, he had obtained his drive again. But that vigorous Song Hang hadn't discovered that disdainful gazes directed towards him. In fact, none of the people present on the scene had discovered this. Yang Chen also had a card up his sleeve, so they could find anyone they wanted, he wasn't worried. The more people Meng Xian would find, the more it would add to Yang Chen's glory. Therefore, although he was baffled at Meng Xian's behavior, he hadn't opposed him even slightly. The palace master was also astonished by Yang Chen's behavior, but he also wanted to see the overall result of Yang Chen's guidance. Meng Xian's proposal was directly out of his heart, so he immediately instructed Song Hang to go and find more people. Following the departure of Meng Xian and Song Hang, the palace master suddenly turned to Yang Chen and asked, "Do you really know his problem?" "Yes, palace master." Yang Chen replied with a smile. "But, I will not say." Even the palace master had been refused by Yang Chen without getting the slightest bit of information. Today's matter had caused a great loss of face for Song Hang. Even if Yang Chen told him the method to resolve it, he would not feel thankful to Yang Chen. Another thing, if Song Hang made breakthrough and entered Yuning stage, then the Luminous Moon Hall would have one more expert and Song Hang's position would also increase. Yang Chen would definitely not have an easy time. He was also not foolish enough to help a person who was hostile towards him get promoted. If Song Hang made a breakthrough, then my Pure Yang Palace would have one more Yuning stage expert. The palace master also wanted to put a fight, so he muttered to himself. This would really be a great benefit for my sect. Since you are missing a Yuning expert so much, disciple takes the responsibility to find a Dacheng stage expert. Yang Chen continued, without giving the slightest bit of face to the palace master. So that you won't miss Song Hang even a bit. What did you say? A Dacheng stage expert? Not only the palace master, but all of the other hallmasters were greatly alarmed. The Pure Yang Palace already didn't have a Dacheng expert for many years, but Yang Chen was surprisingly talking about finding a Dacheng stage expert. Did he really think that finding a Dacheng stage expert was child's play? This matter can be discussed later. After giving his conclusion, Yang Chen didn't reveal anything and pushed the matter to the future. Today, I first request all of the seniors to check the results of this disciple's ability to provide guidance. No one was glad at Yang Chen's words, but everyone understood. The party had come to the Nine Earth Manor with great fanfare to catch the merit-transferring disciple, Yang Chen, for the crime of being absent without notice and hampering the progress of his disciples, a blame which none of them would like if placed on them. Fine, today we will inspect everything carefully. The palace master also let go of all anxiousness. Since Yang Chen was saying so, then he had to have something to back it up. In any case, it was only a matter of time. The palace master also became optimistic and sat up upright on the seat of honor and began to wait. After another hour, Song Hang and Meng Xian had found suitable people from the Yishu Manor and the Nine Earth Manor and arrived in front of everyone. Greetings to the palace master. Under the guidance of Uncle Master Yang, disciples' cultivation has greatly increased. One disciple at the peak high layer respectfully greeted everyone and began to narrate. Previously, this disciple just wanted to increase my cultivation quickly, and thus the spirit power in my body was not pure, but under Uncle Master Yang's guidance, disciple has been able to remove the impurities and obtain pure spirit power. Uncle Master Yang said that being hasty is not good, that I must build a good foundation at the Kai layer, which is far better than increasing my cultivation quickly. Forcefully building my foundation would damage it. On the contrary. The Kai layer disciple didn't seem to hide anything, he said everything he knew. The profits this disciple has received from nourishing the spirit power in these 1.5 years are not shallow. This disciple has complete confidence that, in few months, this disciple will be able to build his foundation in one stroke. Everyone present was an expert. If there had been some mistake in his words, everyone would have known. Just his confident words of being able to build his foundation in one stroke already clearly explained the benefits he had received from nourishing his spirit power. Even after few more peak high layer disciples were questioned, their words were nearly the same, the only differences were their problems. All of them wanted to cultivate quickly and build their foundation before others, but the same thing was their confident tone towards reaching the foundation stage. Apparently every one of these people had no doubt about themselves being able to reach the foundation stage in one stroke. Furthermore, their confidence was not based on any external force like a foundation stage pillar, things like that. If such disciples succeeded in building their foundation, everyone there would clearly know at what level their future achievements would be. After a few more successive disciples, everyone looked towards Yang Chen as if he were some kind of monster. Following those disciples, the newly entered disciples of the Yishu Manor were the same. Apart from those who had just entered this year and were only learning about other things, among those who had started their cultivation, there wasn't anyone who didn't have a proper understanding of his cultivation, and furthermore all of them also knew what would be suitable for them at this stage. The reply given by these disciples even evoked the admiration of those experts. If in the days when they had started their cultivation, they had had such a high-level merit-transferring disciple like Yang Chen, then they would have also had an even higher cultivation base. Not to mention the time they would have saved which they had spent going on wrong paths. It would have brought lots of benefits to them. After a time, everyone looked at Yang Chen as if they were seeing a ghost again. Especially the palace master, within whose side a flame could be seen, burning fiercely, as if he was looking at a precious gem. None of them could see as far as the palace master. If the outer disciples had such levels of achievements, then after 100 years, what kind of situation would the Pure Yang Palace be in? Maybe, at that time, the Pure Yang Palace would also be able to stand together with big sects like the Greatest Heaven sect or the Clear Sky sect. Song Hang, do you still have any further doubt? The palace master turned toward Song Hang. Since this matter was incited by him, then naturally, he also had to be the one who had to conclude it. If he was still not satisfied, then he could still find some example. This disciple has nothing to say. Song Hang could not speak even half a word in this kind of situation and could only bow and reply. But in his heart he was full of curses for Liang Xiaoming. He definitely had an opportunity to break through, but because of Liang Xiaoming prompting him, he had ended up making up a disgrace of himself in front of everyone. What about the rest of you? The palace master turned towards everyone and asked. We have nothing to say. This time, everyone replied in a uniform tone, with everyone's eyes on Song Hang. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 162 Her opportunities are none of your business. Song Hang wanted to teach Yang Chen a lesson, but in the end he was the one who was slapped across his face. Those hall masters and the palace master, whom he had previously asked to punish Yang Chen, had instead become spectators for his own humiliation. Moreover, he could not offend them, and neither did he dare to have any thoughts of attacking Yang Chen. The meeting was then disbanded, but the only one who left was Song Hang. None among the others left, waiting for Yang Chen to clarify that matter regarding the Dacheng stage expert. Everyone could not help being curious. A Dacheng stage expert was the target of every sect for roping in, how could it be so easy for Yang Chen? Yang Chen would certainly not speak of this in the Nine Earth Manor. The group of elders this concerned the most were also not present, so Yang Chen did not say much and invited everyone to the second Fierce Yang courtyard and even specifically asked for that group of elders to be requested over so that everything could be cleared up. Wang Yang only now heard about Song Hang's actions and was furious, but before he could do anything, everyone had already rushed to the second Fierce Yang courtyard. Seeing Wang Yang so furious, everyone knew what the matter was. All of them greeted Wang Yang, one by one, and then began to praise his good fortune for having such a hardworking grand disciple. When Wang Yang understood the events that had taken place, he was greatly comforted in his heart. The more face his grand disciple had, the more it would add to his own face. He greatly praised Yang Chen without any restraint and without any sense of modesty. What courtesy. When someone mentioned this, Wang Yang glared at him and said. My grand disciple has such great accomplishments, so naturally I will praise him. If you all do not like this, then you should try to find your own grand disciple with such great accomplishments. His intention to shield him was clearly displayed in his speech. When the other elders heard something related to a defying expert, they also left all of the work at hand and hurried there. After everyone had arrived, Yang Chen asked Gao Yu to go and stay with them, and only then he began to explain. The reason why Yang Chen had asked Gao Yu to go and stay with them was because he wanted to pave the way for her success. These people not only included elders, but also the hall masters. If, in the future, Gao Yu wanted to enter the upper echelons of the Pure Yang Palace, then she had to make good relations with these people. But to everyone else, it seemed as if Yang Chen heavily respected his master, so they secretly nodded. At the same time, they also felt profound envy towards Gao Yu. Why couldn't they have such a good disciple? Afterwards, Yang Chen didn't beat around the bush and directly made a report about the old tree demon wanting to join the eccentrics hall to everyone. At the same time, he also invited them to attend the old tree demon's tribulation. As soon as Yang Chen's words left his mouth, everyone in the second Fierce Yang courtyard immediately took a deep breath. Among the people present, Wang Yang, who was merely at the beginning stage, had the highest cultivation. Among the other hallmasters, elders and the palace master, many were just at the Jidan stage and hadn't even passed the thunder tribulation of the three tribulations. So, suddenly hearing that a beginning stage expert was going to go through his yin fire tribulation and all of them could attend the ritual, made everyone go crazy. The defying stage expert was indeed a defying stage expert. According to Yang Chen's words, that old tree demon was very formidable and had suppressed the yin fire tribulation more than a dozen times by now. What kind of cultivation would he need to have to suppress a heavenly tribulation? Furthermore, how had he suppressed it? Leaving aside the worth of a defying stage expert to sect, just with this one trick, if the sect could grasp it, then everyone at the beginning stage would be able to get countless opportunities. Even without this, just being able to witness an expert pass the yin fire tribulation at close proximity was simply a great opportunity to touch upon the edge of the defying stage for everyone there. Especially for those elders who were at the Yuning stage, this was simply a heaven-sent opportunity, which many people could not witness in their lifetimes. Even for Jidan experts to be able to witness someone passing their tribulation was very beneficial towards their mental state, and this kind of matter was surprisingly happening within their own sect, and the one who made this possible was moreover a disciple at the initial foundation stage. This could not be said to just be a miracle now, this was simply making the impossible possible. Such a good opportunity had surprisingly fallen into the lap of the Pure Yang Palace. Everyone was looking at Yang Chen as if they were looking at some freak. To be able to entice an almost defying stage expert with just the initial foundation stage, what kind of good fortune was this? Such a great expert entering the eccentric hall of the sect, who would not approve? A defying stage expert, what would he need from the current Pure Yang Palace? If he wanted, he could just exterminate the entire sect without any tricks. So there was nobody who thought that there was any hidden goal or secret here. Apart from lamenting Yang Chen's good fortune, what else could they say? As for the matter of attending the ritual of his tribulation, the senior said that there shouldn't be too many people and he has allowed disciple to give away invitations. After everyone had absorbed the shock, Yang Chen calmly continued. Within the next few days, disciple will send out invitations to everyone. At that time, I request the palace master to restrain those who don't have invitation cards. Senior has said those people who have nothing to do with it should not show up. As soon as everyone heard these words, they immediately understood that there wouldn't be many invitations, but at the same time, everyone of the luminous moon hall heaved a large sigh in their heart. It would be a miracle if Yang Chen gave an invitation to Yang Xiaoming and Song Hang. Just now there was the matter of him not guiding disciples properly, so how could they expect him to return good for evil? At least the palace master didn't have any extravagant hopes. It could clearly seen from the matter of Song Hang's cultivation bottleneck and that Yang Chen had refused to tell him the method to resolve it. So for the opportunity of attending the tribulation, Yang Xiaoming and Song Hang should not even think about it. If they had known that Yang Chen still had such a card up his sleeve, would they still have constantly looked to create trouble for Yang Chen? This kind of opportunity, every disciple of the sect with a cultivation of the Jidan stage or higher must be allowed to witness. Elder Lin Yunfeng had come from the Luminous Moon Hall, and he naturally understood what Yang Chen meant, so he couldn't help but speak up. But he also didn't say it directly and rather talked about all Jidan experts. In this way, he had used the power of the group to force Yang Chen. Yang Chen also would not want to offend all of the Jidan expert of the sect, would he? Inappropriate. Wang Yang immediately shook his head. The Luminous Moon Hall's people have looked for trouble with Yang Chen more than once. If his great master didn't speak up for him there, then who would? How is it inappropriate? Lin Yunfeng rhetorically asked. He had to support his disciples. The senior has said there shouldn't be too many people. After including all of us elders, how many seats would there be left? Wang Yang shook his head. Furthermore, if we added all of the hall masters and the palace master, the number of people would be many. I fear that senior would find it annoying. Alright, then all of the hall masters should not be allowed. Initially Lin Yunfeng had wanted to get a seat for Liang Xiaoming. He had dragged in all of the hall masters as an excuse for this goal, but since Wang Yang had made the decision for the hall masters, he naturally wanted to use this opportunity to get the final decision. The Luminous Moon Hall's hall master has been punished by all of the elders and the palace master unanimously to meditate and examine his conscience for 20 years. Wang Yang also knew the intentions of his grand disciple and directly eliminated Liang Xiaoming. So it will not be good to interrupt him. This. Lin Yunfeng creased his brows. This is a rare opportunity. He can just come out to attend the ritual and then go back to examining his conscience again, wouldn't that be alright? Liang Xiaoming being penalized to examine his conscience was a public matter in the sect, so Lin Yunfeng hadn't boldly supported him and only used a conversational tone to help him. Elder Lin, Hallmaster Liang has been punished because he has sinned. But Wang Yang didn't back down even in the slightest. Even now the Luminous Moon Hall had tried to harm his grand disciple. If they could still obtain benefits from him, what would that mean? So he directly nodded his head. If he comes out to receive the benefits and then returns after getting the benefits, what kind of punishment is this? Everyone must know that playing with my Puryang Palace is not a child's matter. These words of Wang Yang were completely reasonable. People who had committed offense went out to get benefits and then went back, what kind of punishment would that be? It would be just an inconvenience. Once he said these words, the palace master had no option other than interrupting the discussion. Lin Yunfeng still wanted to argue more, but the palace master deeply sighed. Senior brother Yun, regarding Liang Xiaoming's matter, the decision will be according to senior brother Wang's words. People who are being punished should not come out. But, palace master. Lin Yunfeng became anxious. This was such a good opportunity, he just couldn't accept his disciple being unable to witness it. Don't say anything more. The palace master immediately stopped Lin Yunfeng. Although my Puryang Palace is not one of the big sects, sect rules are still sect rules, not some child's play. If everyone started to look down on them, how would we restrain our sect's disciples? After the palace master used the sect's rules, there was no more room for discussion. Lin Yunfeng could only shut up, but he glared at Yang Chen with a bitter gaze. All of these matters were because of this Yang Chen, including the matter of his grand disciple Chu Heng turning into a sect traitor. Everything was done by this Yang Chen. Once Lin Yunfeng shut up, the other elders could already see that this line of Wang Yang, from great master to grand disciple, were all greedy people. As soon as they were wronged, they would immediately pay it back. Among all of them, a few were very happy as their relationship with Wang Yang's line was very good, especially with Yang Chen. This included the Medicine Hall's Master Zhu Chen Tao, Foreign Affair Hall's Master Zhu Cheng Xin, and Law Enforcement Hall's Master Meng Xian, who were extremely grateful to the heavens for giving them the opportunity to make such a young friend. Whose luck was completely in defiance of the heavens. This made countless people envious to death. This kind of disciple had to be guarded and cultivated properly. Which disciple had broadened the master vein of the Puryang Palace? Which disciple had discovered a new spirit vein and had still left rooms for them? Which disciple could help the sect with Elder Wu's cultivation experience, even when he could have kept it all for himself? Which disciple would invite them for the opportunity of witnessing a tribulation? Other than Yang Chen, who could do all of this? In comparison, what had the Luminous Moon Hall done for the sect? Apart from enjoying the natural resources of the sect, what benefits had they given back in return? A person's true value could only be determined by comparison, and everyone could see who was better. In fact, it is not impossible that Hallmaster Liang will have the opportunity. Just when everyone thought the dust had settled, Yang Chen suddenly opened his mouth. Not only that, the words he said startled everyone. What kind of opportunity? Lin Yunfeng was exalted, at that moment he didn't mind Yang Chen being a junior and hastily asked. Although this disciple hasn't seen the yin fire tribulation, I know that, during the time of the tribulation, the energies of heaven and earth fluctuate greatly, and it is not confined to a single region, it will cover almost the entire area of our Myking Mountains. Yang Chen continued further. As long as they are within the area of our Pure Yang Palace, anyone can sense the turmoil in spirit power. These words were indeed reasonable, and everyone who heard these words happily nodded. But Yang Chen had not finished speaking and continued. Disciple has also seen some past records of tribulations of other seniors. During the time of tribulation, if the cultivation is not sufficient, then it will be better to watch it from afar. If the distance is too close, they won't be able to protect themselves and will be affected by the tribulation. During that time, the only ones who can watch the tribulation are the elders. Once these words came out of his mouth, everyone's complexion immediately turned awkward. Although these words were to provide an opportunity to Liang Xiaoming, it was the same as not actually providing it. Moreover, these words completely eliminated Lin Yunfeng's previous suggestion of letting all Jidan stage experts watch the show. Until now, every Jidan expert was looking hopefully at Yang Chen because of Lin Yunfeng's proposal, but after Yang Chen declared this, everyone with an insufficient cultivation could not approach. So from the start, there was no opportunity. Who could still blame Yang Chen for not giving them an opportunity? Although it was reasonable, the color on every hallmaster's face changed. According to Yang Chen's words, they would not have the opportunity to go close and could only sense it from far away. If a few hallmasters want to watch, the elders can cooperatively protect them. Immediately after Yang Chen had spoken, several Jidan experts looked at the palace master with hopeful gazes. Excitement could be seen in everyone's eyes. They hadn't thought of this, but after Yang Chen's warning, all of them began to think about this problem. Apparently, the few Yuning stage elders in front of them, protecting them would still be problematic. Even without adding Liang Xiaoming, these few people would be unable to save themselves. In these kinds of circumstances, it was impossible for Lin Yunfeng to add more people because, for Liang Xiaoming to come, someone had to go out and every one of them had the same status, so why would someone give up their seat for Liang Xiaoming, who was being punished? So then, only the elders in addition to everyone present here. Lin Yunfeng could only concede that Liang Xiaoming didn't have good fortune. But he still attacked another person. Since his disciple didn't have such good fortune, theirs shouldn't also. Since Gao Yu is also not a hallmaster, shouldn't she be excluded with them? While saying this, Lin Yunfeng hadn't looked at Gao Yu, but rather Yang Chen, as if waiting to see what Yang Chen would do if Gao Yu did not get this opportunity. Naturally, Yang Chen conceded, without caring in the least. Elders, you just need to concern yourselves with these few uncle masters. This disciple will handle his master's matters. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 163 Attending the Yin Fire Tribulation. Because there was absolutely no other opportunity, Lin Yunfeng fought for his face one last time, but other than feeling vexed, he didn't feel anything. The old tree demon was addressed as senior by the group of people headed by the palace master. That old man, whether in terms of age or cultivation, was their senior. Finally, after the discussion between these few people, the palace master, acting as a master receiving disciples, accepted the old tree demon into the Pure Yang Palace, and the old tree demon became one of the few topmost cultivators in the Pure Yang Palace. Simultaneously, he also became the hallmaster of the Eccentrics Hall. Qikui and Xie didn't have any objection to this. They never knew anything about power struggles, and the cultivation of that old tree demon was very formidable, so both of them accepted that he became the hallmaster. All of the elders began to prepare to defend as many peak Jidan experts as possible at the time of the ritual, so that as many people could attend this incomparable encounter as possible. Yang Chen, together with Gao Yu, returned to her courtyard, concerned about her injury. Currently, I don't feel anything wrong. Facing Yang Chen's care, Gao Yu's face had turned a little red, and then she replied with confidence. Not just that, my spiritual power cultivation has also increased by a lot. After saying that, Gao Yu looked at Yang Chen with a face full of worry and asked. Your spiritual power cultivation has greatly decreased, is there anything to worry about? No, it will be back to normal in a few days. Yang Chen said that with an indifferent expression. He definitely would not let Gao Yu feel guilty about this. This time, you have greatly offended Elder Lin and the people of the Luminous Moon Hall. Gao Yu anxiously continued, but she immediately patted Yang Chen's shoulder. But they were also trying to take advantage of you, so you do not need to mind them. If this sort of matter happens again in the future, directly go and find Master. Master will definitely get you out of any predicament. This lineage of Wang Yong, Gao Yu and Yang Chen didn't have any other people they could rely on, so they had to take care of it themselves. This time, it clearly were the people of the Luminous Moon Hall who had made the first provocation, but Yang Chen returned it with a ruthless slap. Furthermore, you said that I will be your responsibility. After Gao Yu said this, her gaze turned to Yang Chen again. Don't tell me you have some method to defend me from the influence of the tribulation. Be at ease, disciple will take care of that. Yang Chen patted his chest and guaranteed. I guarantee to get you front row seats. If other people had said this, Gao Yu may not have believed it, but after Yang Chen had opened his mouth, Gao Yu was completely convinced. After such a long time, Gao Yu had a blind trust towards Yang Chen. Especially after he had healed her through the pair cultivation for spiritual awareness, this confidence had become even deeper. Naturally, Yang Chen was not just talking big, he directly returned to the old tree demon and began to help him in finding a suitable location. This location had to be at the Myking Mountain, furthermore, if he failed, there shouldn't be any damage to the Pure Yang Palace. But the possibility of failure was extremely low. The old tree demon had suppressed the tribulation several times now, and with the body dividing secrets, he absolutely could not fail. This location should also be beneficial for the disciples of the Pure Yang Palace. The spirit power would greatly fluctuate during this tribulation, so the location had to be chosen such that a majority of people could sense it. But this matter was for the palace master and them to think about. Yang Chen did not need to care much about it. He just had to come at a certain time and take the best seats. Regardless of anything, Yang Chen was convinced that there would be no better place for the ritual than where the old tree demon's main body was. But the only people who could be present near his main body while he was going through his tribulation were the ones whom he trusted with his life, otherwise the old tree demon would definitely not agree. But the strange thing was that the old tree demon readily agreed to Yang Chen's request. Nobody knew why he had so much confidence in Yang Chen, or if he thought that an initial foundation stage and an initial Jidance stage cultivators could not be a threat to him. In any case, that old tree demon agreed without any hesitation. But in less than a day, the entire Pure Yang Palace became aware of this news. Everyone within the range of the Myking Mountain was looking forward to it in high spirits. Unfortunately, the time of that old tree demon's tribulation was very soon and was going to begin just the next day, otherwise, if they could notify their friends and relatives, even if they could not look at it personally and could just sense the fluctuations in the heavens and earth spirit power, it would be greatly beneficial for them. The region was properly chosen. It was a place between the Nine Earth Manor and the Pure Yang Palace, slightly closer to the Pure Yang Palace. This place was found to be the most suitable region after careful calculation, so the old tree demon also didn't have any objections to it. The group, including the palace master, hadn't discovered that only an incarnation of the old tree demon was present with them and not the main body. Shikui and Xia knew this fact, but they didn't say anything and only followed the group of the palace master and the elders who were arranging the defensive spell formations. They were greatly astonished after experiencing the spell formation and at the same time also silently learnt it. It took a whole day for the palace master and the elders to arrange the defensive spell formations, but all of them were very happy. This kind of opportunity did not come every day. Last time, Yang Chen had allowed people of the Clear Sky sect to witness the tribulation of Elder Hua Wanting, but he had worried that he could not get such an opportunity for the palace master and the elders. The arrival of the old tree demon was just like a shipment of charcoal in the deepest winter and had satisfied Yang Chen's small wish. Everyone was nervously waiting for the tribulation to begin. The elders had already prepared everything properly and all of the hallmasters were protected within the spell formation and they were also the last line of protection and at the same time, they had also prepared to sense everything at close range. Under the eyes of the entire Myking Mountain, the old tree demon triggered his yin fire tribulation. Strictly speaking, his incarnation triggered the yin fire tribulation. An imaginary fire began to burn from the second body of the old tree demon. Soon afterwards it penetrated into the mud and the entire body of the old tree demon seemed to be shrouded within imaginary fire. His entire person seemed to have turned into a human-shaped torch, burning brightly. The old tree demon again and again tried to push down the yin fire, but the yin fire continued to burn his body. The formidable spirit power triggered the energy of heaven and earth to fluctuate, which could be sensed throughout the entire Myking Mountain. Even at a distance the sensation was the same, but the few Yuanying stage experts had turned pale with fright. This kind of formless and shapeless yin fire was the final roadblock on their path towards the Dacheng stage. Just looking at this kind of strength, if this yin fire really reached their bodies, how would they handle it? That old tree demon's resistance was extremely great. After suppressing the yin fire for the 92nd time, all of the yin fire flames attached to his body completely vanished. Soon afterwards, an extremely formidable pressure, which made everyone unable to look at him directly, began to slowly burst out from his body. The energy of heaven and earth seemed to have lost control, and the old tree demon's body seemed to be an enormous whirlpool, which frantically emptied all of the spirit power in a radius of several hundred miles. The divided body of the old tree demon was floating in the air in front of everyone and began to complete the final transformation of reaching the Dacheng stage. The frightening spirit power submerged his body like a wave, and the yin fire from a moment ago had cleaned all of the impurities in his body completely. At this moment, after being rinsed by the spirit power, the old tree demon had broken through the Yuning stage and entered the realm of the Dacheng stage flawlessly. Under everyone's gazes, the old tree demon's body rose into the air and countless rays of life started to emerge from his body and, like goose feathers, snow began to fall to the ground, covering almost the entire Myking mountain, and then it disappeared. Soon afterwards, in the regions where the light rays had fallen, young acacia saplings emerged from the ground and began to grow quickly under the nourishment of the spirit power, becoming fist-thick in a short time. By now, the entire Myking mountain was completely below the shadow of acacia trees, so that the young saplings in Yang Chen's backyard were nothing out of the ordinary, submerged among countless acacia trees. Apart from Yang Chen and Gao Yu, nobody else knew the location of the acacia tree demon's main body. The defensive spell formations arranged by the elders effectively resisted the dispersed spirit power from the yin fire and also allowed all of the hallmasters to observe this grand occasion. This was the first Dacheng expert in the Puryang Palace in several hundred years, and this was moreover also everyone's first time personally witnessing the birth of a Dacheng stage expert. This implied that the Puryang Palace would get even more formidable from now on, and the sect strength would increase even more. The group of elders and hallmasters were unable to control their excitement and were regretting being unable to enter seclusion immediately. But a Dacheng stage expert had just been born, and he was also the hallmaster of their eccentrics hall. How could they forget their manners? Therefore, after the spell formations were removed, the first thing everyone did was to congratulate the old tree demon. Near the old tree demon's main body, Yang Chen and Gao Yu were very scared, seeing the old tree demon extinguish the yin fire 92 times and complete the tribulation. Compared to outside, it was much less intense at the location of the old tree demon's real body. Only a faint flame would burn and be suppressed, but Yang Chen knew that this small flame contained at least 90% of the yin fire tribulation's might. Even if it just seemed like 10% to the outside. But such a close distance, Gao Yu could also sense the frightfulness of the yin fire tribulation and, looking at it tensely, she clenched her fist and her face lost color in her nervousness. Those people who hadn't gone through a tribulation could not sense the frightfulness of that small yin fire, but they would still be intimidated, like Gao Yu, who was thinking how she would handle it if this frightening power came onto her body at this moment. Master? Yang Chen promptly caught the anomaly within Gao Yu and immediately grabbed her sweaty hand. Attending this ritual is to increase your knowledge, not to strike at your confidence. As soon as she felt the warmth from Yang Chen grabbing her hand, Gao Yu was quickly roused from her depression and she seamlessly struggled free from his hand, immediately recovered her senses. You're just at the initial Jidan stage right now, the yin fire tribulation is indeed slightly frightening for you right now, but believe me master. Yang Chen had fixed his gaze onto Gao Yu's eyes, making her gaze back into his eyes. All of these heavenly tribulations will not be a barrier to you. Yang Chen's words touched the sore point in her heart. Indeed, the ritual was just to increase her knowledge and not to strike at her confidence. Moreover, Gao Yu had such blind trust towards Yang Chen that, as long as Yang Chen said that she would immediately feel the same way. While, with Yang Chen, Gao Yu's mood had quickly changed, over at the old tree demon, who had completed his yin fire tribulation, he began to rapidly absorb spirit power. Yang Chen and Gao Yu, who were the closest to his main body, had naturally clearly experienced this entire process. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yang Chen cupped his hands and congratulated the main body of the old tree demon. Gao Yu also followed suit. Next, in a grand ceremony, the Puryang Palace declared the old tree demon to be the hallmaster of the eccentrics hall and at the same time, with absolute certainty, also declared that the Puryang Palace had a Dacheng stage expert. Many envoys from friendly sects dropped in to congratulate them and the sect was once again busy with receiving visitors and other trifling matters. The Puryang Palace had once more become the focus point, giving rise to the attention of countless sects and cultivators. Only, none of this was related to Yang Chen. In fact, after the end of the ritual, the group of people who had witnessed the tribulation entered a short seclusion to comprehend everything. Gao Yu was no exception, and Yang Chen had also entered seclusion to inspect his body. From the time he had went to save his master, he had been very busy and did not even have the time examine his body, but now that everything was finished, he could properly examine all of the transformations which had happened in his body. Although he was able to save Gao Yu using the Great Profound Heart Sutra, the price he had to pay was extremely high. His spiritual awareness had fallen from the initial Yuning stage to the peak Jidan stage by an entire realm. Even the area of his spirit sea had decreased greatly. But despite this, Yang Chen discovered that, after passing through the pair cultivation, the framework of his spirit sea had become even more stable. Also, the decrease in spiritual awareness was not like it had disappeared, instead it was more like the spiritual sea had been forcefully compressed and the spiritual awareness had been compressed. Discovering this, Yang Chen immediately became delighted. He would not have even blinked even if he had to use his entire spiritual awareness to save Gao Yu, but he had surprisingly discovered that his condition was not as bad as he had estimated, so naturally he had become very cheerful. During the practice of the three purity secrets, Yang Chen quickly discovered something different. Compared to before, cultivating the three purity secrets had become even more smooth and easy. Originally, he had already reached the third layer of the three purity secrets, but cultivating it every time, it was somewhat difficult. But at that moment it had become very smooth. There were almost no obstructions, and since the area had decreased, the circulation had also become much easier. After spending several days, Yang Chen had finally inspected his body completely. Apart from his spiritual awareness and his spirit sea, there was no remarkable change in any other parts. By the next day, his spiritual awareness had once again reached the bottleneck. People still continued to visit the Pure Yang Palace, but this did not have any relation with him, so Yang Chen returned to the Nine Earth Manor to continue with his duty as the merit-transferring disciple. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 164 First Appearance of the Devil Cultivation Method. Holding the red sun metal soul, Gao Yu began to refine the flying sword for Yang Chen again. Gao Yu had thought much about this flying sword and really wanted to complete it, at least in a few years. But the red sun metal soul now, the main material of the flying sword was already complete and only some assisting materials remained, but this time, Yang Chen did not dare to let Gao Yu go out to seek the materials alone again and called out to Shikui and Xia, asking them to take out all of the materials they had obtained at the Haoyi Manor and give them to Gao Yu to choose. Despite already knowing that Yang Chen, Shikui and Xia, together with Scarface and the old tree demon, had exterminated the Haoyi Manor, upon seeing this many Qianqin pouches being opened before their eyes, even the palace master and Wang Yong were alarmed. Although the greater mountains lacked in spirit power, they were extremely enriched in natural resources. The Haoyi Manor had been raking in materials for more than 1,000 years now, so their collection of things almost couldn't be counted. Everyone was stunned looking at all of these things, crammed inside of the second Fierce Yang courtyard, and their heart were filled with shock. Even Wang Yong was doubtful that, had he been in Yang Chen's place at the Greater Mountains, he would have been able to bring down that immense manor just by himself. So many materials. Even the entire Pure Yang Palace may not be able to produce them so easily. Not to mention the other things, there were at least 10 materials at the grade of Red Sun Metal Soul, and as for spirit stones, their numbers couldn't even be counted. This. The palace master, who had already remained calm, also began to stutter at this moment. His eyes began to glow passionately, as if someone, who had been hungry for more than 10 days, had seen the food of a masterchef. If it were not for the previous meeting regarding the second Fierce Yang courtyard, where it was declared that everything obtained by disciples would not have to be submitted to the sect, the palace master would have wished to immediately announce that all of these things would be confiscated. Looking at this, Yang Chen shook his head repeatedly. Fortunately he had not taken out those things he had got from the master and the young master of the auction house, otherwise, wouldn't these people have gone crazy? But in the end, these were just worldly possessions to people who had a high cultivation. The palace master also quickly pacified his wavering heart and turned his attention to Yang Chen. Yang Chen, can I consult you about something? The palace master asked in a pleasant manner. If people of other sects heard this, they would have surely joked that there was no difference between seniors and juniors in the Pure Yang Palace. The palace master was going as far as to show this much courtesy to an initial foundation stage disciple, shouldn't he order him? Why did he still need to show this much courtesy? But it would perhaps be very difficult for outsiders to comprehend the palace master's behavior towards Yang Chen. Even, apart from the hall masters and elders, the ordinary disciples of Pure Yang Palace would not understand it. The reason was that currently, even the palace master could not dare to say that his contribution to the Pure Yang Palace was higher than Yang Chen's. Let alone the matters of getting face for the Pure Yang Palace, just finding the spirit vein of the second Fierce Yang courtyard, as well as enticing the 2 Yuning stage and 1 Dacheng stage experts of the Eccentrics Hall, were sufficient to make the palace master treat Yang Chen favorably. If his contribution of guiding the outer disciples was added in, it raised Yang Chen's status above all of the Jidan experts in the palace master's eyes. So, let alone using a consulting tone, if Yang Chen's cultivation wasn't very low, the palace master would have already offered the seat of an elder to him. Furthermore, even if Yang Chen became the palace master, replacing him, he would not mind. As palace master commands. At this moment, Yang Chen did not dare to trust the palace master's friendly tone very much and hastily replied. You see, all of these things here, you will not be able to use all of them completely in a short time. The palace master happily continued. Can you allow our sect's disciple to purchase them for spirit stones or perhaps exchange for some other suitable things? Furthermore, be relieved, the price will be same as the market value, so you will absolutely not suffer losses. The request was not very excessive. Yang Chen had already talked about this with Shikui and Xie. They hadn't taken out the real high-quality products, so aside from the things needed for Yang Chen's flying sword, they had intended to sell these things, which they had carried from there. While returning from the greater mountains, they only concentrated on bringing as many things as they could. So many things certainly could not be used by them entirely, and originally they had intended to give them in return of favors. Naturally, they would not give them to anyone for free, spirit stones were a must, but the palace master had said that they would priced according to the market value, so he was not just asking them to do a favor. Among this, one portion is masters, two others belong to the seniors of the eccentrics hall. Yang Chen happily replied. These things are sold at very high rates in markets, but in reality, about 80% of the market price will be fine. After master has chosen, I will deliver everything to fellow apprentice Shangyuan to help me in taking care of them. If anyone within sect wants them, they can get them at the second Fierce Yang Hall at 80% of the market rate. Although Shangyuan Feng had reached the foundation stage, his innate talent was limited, and so his future accomplishments would also be limited. A person at Yang Chen's level could not waste his time with these things, therefore, he required someone who could handle these matters. Shangyuan Feng had been the manager of the Yishu Manor for several decades and had gotten very adept at dealing with these kind of situations. When Yang Chen met with Shangyuan Feng the last time, he had talked to him about things like this. Shangyuan Feng was also aware of everything about himself, and he knew that, with his aptitude, reaching the Jidant stage was the peak, but he actually liked handling these kinds of matters, so he readily agreed and patted his chest, guaranteeing that he would certainly deal with them properly. These kinds of things were exactly what the palace master had been seeking. Why would he not agree? Even these things were only for the inner disciples of the sect, outer disciples and servants should not even think of using an external object and concentrate single-mindedly on reaching the foundation stage. Naturally, it would also be taken care of that nobody could take advantage of these difference in prices and make a profit. Once someone was discovered doing that, everything in their possession would be confiscated and they would not be provided with anything anymore. Obviously, some people were an exception. Gao Yu and Wang Yong could take anything they wanted, this was out of Yang Chen's respect for them. They were his master and great master, so others couldn't say anything. After Gao Yu had picked sufficient material, she closely began to discuss with Wang Yong about how to refine a flying sword for Yang Chen. Shangyuan Feng also became a big shopkeeper at the second Fierce Yang Hall. Very quickly, the second Fierce Yang Hall became the point of talks in the Pure Yang Palace again. It was continuously bustling with people looking for Shangyuan Feng all day. The number of people coming there was even higher compared to those going to the sect store. With all of these matters settled, Yang Chen wasn't worried anymore and put his mind to his duty as the merit-transferring disciple and, at the same time, began to prepare for the predestined event of the Long Tai Spirit supporting method's emergence. If this world's developments hadn't changed, then, apparently, within the next few months, the Long Tai Spirit supporting method would emerge and would spread across the entire world like wildfire. After Yang Chen returned to the Nine Earth Manor, he carefully inspected and gave pointers to each and everyone. On one side he checked how much the cultivation of the outer disciples and servants had grown, while on the other hand, he earnestly reminded them that they should not cultivate a cultivation method of unknown origins. As for inner disciples, they would get their arrangements from the palace master. Yang Chen had even suggested to the palace master to wait until the first signs of developments and then immediately publicly announce not to cultivate this cultivation method. This was not Yang Chen being very kind, but rather Yang Chen knowing that, even if the Pure Yang Palace made such an announcement, the majority of people would still not care to follow. In his previous life, the Long Tai Spirit supporting method gave rise to attention of many people. The majority of people did not believe it at first, and everyone adopted the strategy of waiting and watching. Especially the experts. Especially those who had just entered a bottleneck, they would be ready to try any method to make the breakthrough. Even the big sects were the same. As long as any big sect had more than 1,000 inner disciples, they were bound to have a method researching hall, which would do a study on every cultivation method in order to perfect the older cultivation methods or perhaps create all new cultivation methods. This was a very good system for improvement and innovation. No cultivation method was born perfect, instead it would become perfect over time after passing through the amendments of different people. These people looked for every method to promote the sect, so they would certainly not ignore this. Within every big sect, aside from those disciples at a bottleneck, the biggest loss would precisely of this cream. If it was not for them, Lin Cheng he would certainly not have been considered as the target when in reality he had harmed the foundations of every big sect. Very few people would indulge in this kind of research, but among these few victims, there was no lack of wielding stage experts, as they didn't have anyone to guide them on their side. It was not like they did not understand that haste was waste, but unfortunately they had to cultivate to find out. Therefore, with the Pure Yang Palace issuing such a warning, it would certainly gain a good reputation after the event, and there would be no change to the event itself. People loved to draw conclusions after the event and could only remember the gems of wisdom they had heard at that time, and when such a moment came, the Pure Yang Palace's reputation would increase even more in all of the big sects. Really, there is such a troublesome cultivation method where even researching it is out of the question. Although the palace master considered this very important, he also had the same thoughts. Even researching it was out of the question. No need to have such wishful thinking. Like the elder of the Clear Sky sect who had not believed that the blood phantom vine would break through the Qianqin pouch. Yang Chen used the matter of the Clear Sky sect's elder to remind the palace master. In this matter, even a simple mistake should not be there. If the palace master does not want to lose any disciple of the sect, then the best is not to even look at this matter. Yang Chen's words had a very profound impact on the palace master's mind. After such a serious warning, the palace master also knew good from bad. A matter which could even make Elder Wu afraid would naturally not be so simple. A ban was quickly introduced in the Pure Yang Palace, and those who violated it would be evicted from the sect. Such a serious punishment was unprecedented in the sect. Around this time, the rumors of the Long Tai spirit supporting secrets had already started floating, and some people had even tried to cultivate it. So when the Pure Yang Palace's prohibition news spread to the outside, many sects began to joke about it. Why was the Pure Yang Palace being so careful, as if it had eaten a bad medicine? They were so intimidated of a minor cultivation method, even after getting a Dacheng expert. What little courage. Very soon, every kind of crazy words began to spread, thick and fast. Even with a grand Dacheng stage expert overseeing them, the Pure Yang Palace had such little courage. Why were they still acting like an immortal cultivating sect? They should go become a farmer somewhere. Even many Zhedan stage disciples and Yuning stage expert objected to it. It was just a cultivation method, was it so serious as to call for an eviction from the sect? Apart from Yang Chen, Gao Yu, Wang Yong and now the palace master, everyone thought this was going too far. But this time, the palace master had become unshakable like a tortoise, not going back on his decision and using his authority as the palace master over the elders. Even if the elders broke this rule, they would be punished severely. Regardless of whatever the outsiders were saying, the Pure Yang Palace had sealed itself, paying no more attention to them. Yang Chen also seriously inspected and examined the cultivation of all the disciples at the Yishu Manor and Nine Earth Manor, and then after guiding them once, he became carefree. Very soon, the calamity regarding the devil cultivation method would happen, and Yang Chen would certainly not miss this opportunity. Shikui, Shesha and even that old tree demon all began to refine their destined magic weapons under Yang Chen's guidance. Shikui had 4 of his poisonous fangs, Shesha had the sting of his tail as well as big claws, while the old tree demon had chosen an extremely strong trunk and thick roots. Although all 3 demon beasts had a strong cultivation regarding the refining of tools, they were just children in front of Yang Chen. The demon race's tool refining methods were different from normal cultivators, so apart from obtaining pointers from Yang Chen, they would only get such an opportunity after ascending to the spiritual world and obtaining guidance from their seniors. The formidable cultivations of those 3 allowed them to obtain outstanding results, and within the short time of half a year, their destined magic weapons had already formed their embryos. After all, this had to be refined, suiting them mentally and physically, so that there wasn't any rejection. Yang Chen on the contrary, hadn't made any progress himself lately. What Yang Chen wanted to refine was a second wood-attributed flying sword, fitting with his great 5 phases of yin and yang secrets, using the blood phantom vine. The blood phantom vine had already absorbed the blood of someone who was about to become a Dacheng stage expert at the Greater Mountains. It had absorbed the blood of countless people at the Haoyi Manor, including both Dao and devil cultivators. Being enriched with blood, it allowed the blood phantom vine to get the opportunity to become healthy and strong. This occasion was also the best opportunity for Yang Chen to refine his flying sword. Naturally, with Yang Chen's current cultivation, the most he could refine was the sword embryo of the second wood flying sword. According to Yang Chen's plan, after the arrival of the huge calamity of the devil cultivation method, this sword embryo had to be completed by the time the cultivators of the Dao sect surrounded Lin Chenghe. This sword embryo would have an important use for Yang Chen. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 165 Spread of the Devil Cultivation Method. The main part of the vine, in addition to the luxurious master root, also included the main vine. This main part of the blood phantom vine contained 90% of its strength, which would be used as the main material for the second wood flying sword. If Yang Chen had not already spent so much time to subdue this blood phantom vine just to obtain this master vine, getting it wouldn't have been so easy. Even after this, it would still take at least 1 month to completely take out this main vine. After losing the master root and the master vine, the blood phantom vine had lost all of its strength. Yang Chen spent 2 months on it and only then did it regain some vitality. But it was only a trace of liveliness and not the earlier formidable strength, which it could only obtain after absorbing the blood of a formidable expert. The remaining work was just to refine the second wood flying sword. But the main part of the blood phantom vine wasn't sufficient by itself and Yang Chen still had to add many other materials. Fortunately, this time his harvest at the Haoyi Manor and the auction house of the Devil Flame Valley had been quite extensive. Some assisting materials were of even higher quality than the main ingredients of most people's flying swords. The consequence of having many high-grade materials was the difficulty in refining. Nobody could have it both ways in this world. Fortunately, Yang Chen had the profound spirit furnace, moreover this profound spirit furnace had already absorbed the real sun fire, so it was capable of smelting a large majority of the metal ingredients. Otherwise Yang Chen really wouldn't dare to have any thoughts of refining the sword embryo. Another thing which made Yang Chen refine the second wood flying sword before all others was because currently Yang Chen's second wood spirit power was basically the same as the blood phantom vine spirit power and thus had a common origin with the sword, so it would be quite easy to control and the difficulty of refining it would decrease by a lot. Yang Chen's immortal beheading blade was being warmed within the blood river in his spirit sea, which Yang Chen wanted to treat as his destined flying sword. Apart from upgrading the materials and the technique of refining it, the sword box could also receive the sword souls and increase its grade. In addition to that, the second wood flying sword was only one flying sword of the 10 attributes of his 5 phases of greater yin and yang. Even creating the sword embryo was quite the laborious task. With Yang Chen's current cultivation, there was no other way but using all of his spirit power in every turn, according to the method required to make the sword embryo. In reality, even if Yang Chen's cultivation had been high, he would still have to use a similar method. The reason was, the higher the grade of a flying sword, the firmer it should be under the control of its master. This method of using the entire spirit power in every turn raised this kind of coordination. And what was different from his previous life was that, in this life, apart from normal methods, Yang Chen also had 3 cultivation methods, which could make most people go green with envy. The universal treasure raising secrets, the heavenly stars treasure refining secrets and the earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets. Whichever one he would use, he could even make countless people of the immortal world start drooling. Apart from practicing his normal cultivation, he would first cultivate in accordance with the ordinary cultivation methods, then the heavenly stars treasure raising secrets, after that the earth fiend sacrificial formation secrets, and then the universal treasure raising secrets. This was Yang Chen's daily routine. Moreover, after completing this, he would also practice the 3 purity secrets once. This would take up the entire day. While Yang Chen was calmly and methodically preparing his sword embryo, the long Tai spirit supporting method had already begun to spread in the cultivation world. Nobody knew where this cultivation method had come from, but they knew that, within a night, this cultivation method had become famous everywhere. The ban of the Puryang Palace also played a role in this. Because of the Puryang Palace's ban, every big sect came to know of these long Tai spirit supporting secrets. Many people also disapproved of the Puryang Palace being so frightened, which was only natural. The first ones to cultivate it were some rogue cultivators who started with the intention of testing it, since they didn't have to change their original cultivation method and it also increased their cultivation. The heavenly meteor heart crystals could very soon be found everywhere in the cultivation world. This ore was essential for the cultivation of the long Tai spirit supporting secrets. Using the heavenly meteor heart crystal, those people who had cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets for the first time had gone wild with joy. It could remove all kinds of heart's devils and could even transform the heart's devil to increase the efficiency of one's cultivation, which bewitched everyone. The long Tai spirit supporting secret, or perhaps the sun cultivation method of the great devil mother sun cultivation method, was originally the cultivation method of the devil sex, but at that moment it was slightly decorated so the people couldn't see the truth. Compared with the Tao sex cultivation methods, it could transform all negative thoughts and increase one's confidence, thus it fascinated people even more than all of the cultivation methods of the Tao path combined. Nobody had ever heard of a method which could use their heart's devil or those unpleasant thoughts and even distracting thoughts and refine them into their cultivation before. By comparison, the methods of the Tao sects, which required them to always keep their guard up, fell short of the long Tai spirit supporting secrets. The cultivation method, which could even convert distracting thoughts into cultivation, it was easy to imagine how attractive it would be. Under the Pure Yang Palace's ban, the efficiency of the cultivation method continued to be discussed in private. Which cultivator didn't have some old friend or best friend? On the road of cultivation, over several hundreds of years' time, who didn't have one or two people whom they would relax with? Who would want to spend their final years all alone? After seeing such a cultivation method, many people naturally thought of their best friends first. If there was some kind of secret method, then people would cultivate it in secret, but this cultivation method has spread everywhere and wasn't limited to a few people. Moreover, those who did not let their friends take advantage were unworthy friends. The more people started to cultivate it, the larger the scale became, and the cultivation method began to spread. Very quickly, everyone discovered another benefit of the long Tai spirit supporting secrets. Some servants of a small sect discovered that those who originally didn't have any prospects for cultivation, even those mediocre people who couldn't even sense Kai, had unexpectedly broken through the first Kai layer after cultivating the long Tai spirit supporting secrets and entered the ranks of cultivators. Those servants of the small sect had cultivated it without permission and also had a pleasant discovery. That their cultivation had increased quickly, even compared to those official outer disciples of the sect. Those servants who had lowered their heads for many years unexpectedly had a chance to blow off their steam someday in the future. This disturbed the calmness of those outer disciples and created a fear that they would lag behind those servants, and thus they also began to cultivate it. This was the most fatal discovery. Who didn't know that these disciples who ensured that the sect would continue for the coming years? If, by cultivating this long Tai spirit supporting secrets, even the disciples with the worst aptitudes could enter the sect, would the sect still have to worry about their reserve disciples not being enough? Wouldn't the sect strengthen further? As for the devil sect's cultivation method, the easier they could be cultivated in the beginning, the more difficult they would get at higher level, but when their cultivation was bearing fruits like this, nobody paid any attention to such an important detail. Even if someone took note of it, they wouldn't be convinced. After all, it was such a majestic cultivation method, how could there be a devil sect's trick behind it? Small sects and rogue cultivators. The crazy cultivation drive of the long Tai spirit supporting secrets began to spread, and within half a year, the power of many low-level Kai layer cultivators had advanced by leaps and bounds, and the pressure of removing the shame and disgrace provoked even more people in various regions to cultivate it. This time, many people recalled the Pure Yang Palace's warning and did not dare to touch it, as if facing a huge enemy. But when the cultivation of people around them began to rise crazily, they also couldn't help it. Since there weren't any problems with the people cultivating this method, who would take the Pure Yang Palace's warning seriously? Even the small sects, including all of their disciples, began to research these new long Tai spirit supporting secrets. After a few Zhanxian experts had also joined in, it brought this mysterious cultivation method to the attention of genuine experts who had also entered the main forces of the cultivation world, were holding all sorts of goals. After a year, the effectiveness of this cultivation method was spread throughout the entire cultivation world. From most junior cultivators who hadn't even sensed spirit power to Zhanxian experts, everyone's cultivation had unexpectedly increased. What kind of expert had created this top-notch cultivation method? Experts who had participated were naturally different from those low-level disciples. They cared about their original cultivation method even more. But after few months, they pleasantly discovered that this cultivation method not only didn't conflict with their original cultivation method, but moreover even complemented their efficiency. The Tao sect's cultivation methods required a lot at the time for cultivation. Although all of the Zhanxian experts had enough cultivation experience, in the end they were still people. They still hadn't entered the stage of having no desire and having no distracting thoughts, and these seemed to be the key strengths of the long Tai spirit supporting secrets. Cultivating their own cultivation method in addition to the long Tai spirit supporting secrets could certainly increase their original cultivation. The long Tai spirit supporting secrets refined all kinds of heart's devils and disturbing thoughts and instead turned them into a tonic for the original cultivation method, which would lead to their original cultivation method improving greatly. Naturally, the sensations which a Zhanxian stage expert had were completely different. After many of them had started cultivating this cultivation method, it gave rise to the attention of many big sects. Thereupon, to understand this cultivation method's characteristics, a few Yuaning stage cultivators also entered the ranks of the researchers. Speaking truthfully, if it were not for a few reputed Zhanxian experts who were patting their chests and assuring the safety of this method, no Yuaning stage expert would be convinced of such a ridiculous cultivation method. How was it possible? After cultivating to this realm, who of them didn't know that haste meant waste, so how was it possible to have such an accelerated cultivation without any backlash? But those Zhanxian experts who had cultivated it made a solemn vow, guaranteeing the efficiency. After that, a few Yuaning experts began to investigate the principle of this cultivation method. But they only investigated and did not start cultivating. Although most people had joked at the Pyongyang Palace's warning, these big sects hadn't completely taken it as a joke. At least some people in them were still alert, especially after everyone found that this long Thai spirit supporting secrets had spread crazily through the entire cultivation world in the short time of half a year. Those who had cultivated to the Yuaning stage were naturally not idiots. All of them were extremely careful. All were carefully trying to comprehend the underlying principle of this cultivation method and had also carefully analyzed the composition of the heavenly meteor heart crystal. Of those who cultivated the long Thai spirit supporting secrets, none had shown any problems. The only difference that all of them had experienced was that their cultivation speed had become much quicker than usual. The result of cultivation was quite high compared to before. This was something which was quite rare, and these Yuaning stage experts also desired to understand the underlying principle of the cultivation method and improve their sect's cultivation methods according to it. It had to be said that the trick in the long Thai spirit supporting secrets, which refined all of the negative thoughts, was quite exquisite and also tempted the Yuaning stage experts. They pushed down this temptation and carefully pondered, hoping to discover the secrets within. Very soon the experts discovered an important property of the heavenly meteor heart crystal. Yuaning stage experts of different sects, after some time, convinced ordinary cultivators to train, using 1/10 of the heavenly meteor heart crystal, and afterward try to cultivate their own improved cultivation methods. As if confirming their assumption, everything during the cultivation went according to the guesses and calculation of the Yuaning stage experts. That kind of sensation of seizing control over all affairs increased their confidence and their sense of superiority, produced by successfully improving their older cultivation method, made all of the Yuaning stage experts lose themselves within the sensation. In their eyes, they hadn't cultivated the long Thai spirit supporting secrets, but instead referred to some of its principle and had gained enlightenment for their own cultivation. This was something that all of the real experts did, and it was clearly not such a shallow cultivation method that even newly entered disciples could train to increase their cultivation. In fact, this was not simple. Even if they were Yuaning stage experts, just to research a cultivation method and improve it based on others would take at least 1 year of their time. Moreover, that was also only if they didn't take a wrong path. It could be said that nobody cherished the things which they had obtained easily, but if they had obtained them through extremely hard work, it was completely different. Although they had improved their own cultivation methods, it still required a bit of the heavenly meteor heart crystal, but it was already their own cultivation method, so regardless of whether it was their feeling of cultivation or the grade of the cultivation method, it was completely different from the low-level long Thai spirit supporting secrets. The consequence of these experts participating was that every big sect began to pay attention to this cultivation method and had specifically sent experts responsible to fuse the sect's most core cultivation methods and then try to make it completely perfect. Finally, at this stage, it had completely spread in the entire cultivation realm. Apart from the Pyongyang Palace, which had strictly prohibited its disciples from cultivating it, even all of the big sects like the Greatest Heaven sect, the Clear Sky sect and the Five Phases sect were included. Yang Chen had been paying close attention to the news of the outside world all along. Fortunately, the Clear Sky sect's elder Hua Wanting had entered closed-door training with her newly accepted disciple, Sun Haijing, immediately after Yang Chen had left and still hadn't come out, so they didn't have an opportunity to come in contact with this pernicious cultivation method. After 3 years of waiting, Yang Chen's blood phantom vine flying sword's embryo had finally begun to take shape day by day and gradually had the shape of a flying sword. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 166 Grand Disciple will settle Great Master's bottleneck. The entire second wood flying sword's body was the same color as the blood phantom vine, and it was also long. Although it was a little flexible, it was extremely tough. The master root had turned into the sword hilt and the master vine had turned into the sword blade. It was a long sword blade, around 6 feet long, but one of its edges was the edge of a blade. From this it could be seen that this second wood flying sword was more of a saber than a sword. Even the edge of the saber was formed after the deformation of the blood phantom vine's master vine. Apart from possessing all of the abilities of the flying sword, this second wood flying sword also possessed the crazy strength of the blood phantom vine. Naturally, such a sword embryo was perfectly suited for Yang Chen, a reincarnated Great Principle Golden Immortal. Every day he would refine the sword embryo and cultivate. After his foundation stage had perfectly stabilized, all 10 attributes of spirit power in Yang Chen's body simultaneously increased by one level and reached the second layer of the foundation stage. He had also cultivated to the 5th layer of the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets and the 7th layer of the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets. Yang Chen used the heaven measuring ruler from the beginning to carefully determine the effect of these formidable cultivation methods. The heaven measuring ruler had also undergone large changes after coming into Yang Chen's hands. Originally, it hadn't been properly cared for, but after being nourished by the universal treasure-raising secrets, it no longer had that ruined appearance and instead changed to a brand new appearance, as if it had barely been refined. Yang Chen hadn't refined the heaven measuring ruler using the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets and Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets. He hadn't even imprinted a trace of his spiritual awareness on it, since this heaven measuring ruler was to be used to help his friends to know once to make a breakthrough, so there was no sense in marking it and making it exclusive to himself. The marks on the heaven measuring ruler were used for measuring. One mark was roughly equal to the strength of spirit power in an initial foundation stage expert. According to common sense, Yang Chen was only at the initial foundation stage, even if all 10 attributes in his body were at the foundation stage, but it should still be considered as approximately 10 marks, yet the reality was different. The spirit power strength of 39 marks. This was the result of Yang Chen's spirit power on the heaven measuring ruler. Shang Yuanfeng, standing at Yang Chen's side, only had a trifling 3 marks. Wang Yong was still slightly better than Shang Yuanfeng at 4 marks, while Du Qian could be said to be a lot better, with as much as 74 marks, signifying that he had already reached the late foundation stage. At the same time, everyone's spirit power strength was accurately measured and it made all of them astonished. All 3 of them were at the initial foundation stage, even Shang Yuanfeng and Wang Yuan, who had reached the foundation stage long ago, yet there was only a slight increase in their spirit power. What did Yang Chen use so that, even when all of them were at nearly the same level, they had such vastly different strengths? This was still the data before Yang Chen's strength had increased. After he reached the second layer of the foundation stage and his cultivation of the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets had reached the 5th layer and his cultivation of the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets had reached the 7th layer, the ruler showed his strength to be at an astonishing 68 marks. Using 2 types of cultivation methods to increase the spirit power was indeed terrifying. Yang Chen didn't even dare to reveal this to others. Bao Yu was similar. Her results were completely according to everyone's expectations, at 110 marks at the initial Jidan stage, after recovering completely. If speaking simply in terms of strength of the spirit power, a common initial Jidan expert was at 100 marks. Gao Yu had also barely crossed this number and didn't seem very exceptional. Looking at this data, Yang Chen's determination to convince Gao Yu to cultivate a water-attributed cultivation method became even stronger. This calamity of the devil cultivation method was a good opportunity, but it would depend on what tricks Yang Chen would use. When Gao Yu had learned the use of the heaven measuring ruler from Yang Chen, she disapproved of it. A ruler which could measure the strength of spirit power wasn't something to make a fuss about. Yang Chen had surprisingly spent 1 caddy of high-grade spirit stones to buy it. He really had become a wastrel. But when Yang Chen properly explained the genuine use of the heaven measuring ruler to Gao Yu, her eyes turned big, unable to hide her shock. Who could have thought that such a simple item, which could only be used to measure the strength of spirit power, was surprisingly so useful? This item had clearly been at the auction house for quite a long time, and people must have known that it could measure spirit power strength, but nobody had purchased it. It clearly showed that nobody had been able to think that the heaven measuring ruler could also be used like this. Let's go find Master, he seems to be having some trouble lately. After knowing the real use of the heaven measuring ruler, Gao Yu couldn't remain sitting and immediately led Yang Chen to find her master. Previously Wang Yong's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds, but he had currently entered the bottleneck stage. Despite possessing the formidable stimulus of the heaven-seizing pill, he hadn't been able to make the breakthrough. Especially after looking at the tribulation of the old tree demon, the pressure on him had increased even more, so he was currently the most suitable person to use the heaven-seizing ruler. Since Yang Chen hadn't intended to keep it for himself from the start, he did not hesitate to go to see his great master with Gao Yu. Once he heard the use of the heaven measuring ruler, Wang Yong was extremely delighted. He was at the bottleneck of the PQing stage, but after entering the bottleneck, he hadn't been able to sense any increase in his cultivation. With this heaven measuring ruler, Wang Yong firmly believed that he would certainly not remain trapped in this bottleneck stage and would surely make the breakthrough with complete confidence. After learning the use of the heaven measuring ruler, Wang Yong immediately used it to determine his cultivation. 11,000 marks. This strength was already past someone who had just entered the Dacheng stage. Naturally, all of these numbers were only a reference. Aside from the spirit power, nothing else was measured or explained. But Wang Yang became filled with confidence. Especially after he discovered that his spirit power had already crossed the average threshold for the defying stage. Great Master, perhaps your intense desire to make the breakthrough has instead created some obstructions. It would be better if you don't hurry and relax a little bit. Yang Chen immediately began to entice Wang Yang. Perhaps you should refine a destined magic weapon. The Pure Yang Palace wasn't a big sect, so it didn't have many genuine magic weapons for high-level experts. Although Wang Yang had entered the peak Yuning stage from the late Yuning stage with Yang Chen's assistance, he still didn't have a genuine destined magic weapon. In his previous life, Wang Yang hadn't even been able to enter the defying stage and remained in the Yuning stage because of his hesitation and had died with regrets. Since he was always busy with cultivation, where would he have the time to refine a mere worldly possession like the heaven measuring ruler? But it was different now. With Yang Chen's assistance, entering the defying stage was no longer a dream for Wang Yang. Even ascending to the spiritual world was also no longer a far-fetched dream. That time, a destined magic weapon could reflect the presence of an expert who had made a breakthrough. The destined magic weapon. Wang Yang bitterly laughed while shaking his head. Right now, I don't have any good materials to refine. Great Master, this disciple has some materials and requests Great Master to take a look. Hearing Wang Yang's words, Yang Chen replied with a chuckle. What is this? Looking at the pointed conical horn, both Gao Yu and Wang Yang became doubtful. It was the horn of some unknown beast, furthermore it was water attributed. What kind of use would it have for a fire attributed Wang Yang? It was not like Wang Yang hadn't thought of making a magic weapon, but on one hand, he had put all of his mind to cultivating and on the other, the materials were not sufficient. Even the materials Yang Chen had obtained from the Haoyi Manor couldn't enter the eyes of a person at Wang Yang's grade. Rather than using third-grade materials to make a third-grade magic weapon, it would be better to use this time for cultivation. Yang Chen had already known Wang Yang's thoughts, therefore he hadn't taken out the Killin's horn before. In the previous years, because of his increased confidence, Wang Yang's cultivation had increased by leaps and bounds, so bothering him with these things was clearly not suitable. Finally, today, when Wang Yang had already reached the peak Yuning stage's bottleneck, it made for the perfect opportunity. Since he had been painstakingly delving into cultivation, it had instead created a pressure on him because of his impatience to break through, and his cultivation hadn't moved forward. So relinquishing the thought of breaking through and refining a good destined magic weapon with all of his mind would disperse that pressure on him. The Killin's horn appeared to be ninth water attributed, since it had been scrubbed by ninth water for countless years, but the true attribute of the Killin's horn was actually fire, perfectly suitable for Wang Yang. If I haven't identified this wrong, this should be a fire Killin's horn. Yang Chen replied with a gentle laugh. It had been stuck at some place for tens of thousands of years and was scrubbed by a powerful ninth water attributed river and has thus taken on the ninth water attribute in this shape. Bang. When Yang Chen introduced the Killin's horn and its circumstances in detail, Wang Yang and Gao Yu had already lost their minds because of the astonishment. The flame Killin's horn. It was an item which could only be found by luck and not by searching. How could it be in the hands of Yang Chen? Like all of the other times, how could he casually take out such terrifying things? This was genuine treasure, but what both of them were wondering was how Yang Chen's luck was so heaven-defying that, even under those kinds of circumstances, where he had gone to assist his master and take revenge for her, he had found such a treasure. The flying sword made of a fire-attributed Killin's horn, in which the fire attribute was hidden beneath a water attribute, what kind of obstacle couldn't it conquer? Water and fire not encroaching on each other. As long as this could successfully be refined, it would certainly be a terrible surprise for his enemies. When taking the Killin's horn, Wang Yang's hands began to shake. Suddenly he had a thought. What kind of great luck did he have to receive such a great grand disciple like Yang Chen? Apparently Wang Yang still hadn't discovered that his present cultivation was completely moving, according to Yang Chen's plan. But this was not important. The important thing was that Wang Yang knew that he had received the assistance of the heaven measuring ruler at the time of making a breakthrough and moreover had received a Killin's horn to refine a destined flying sword. This was enough for Yang Chen. The Killin's horn required some special method to refine, but in front of Yang Chen's extensive knowledge, this was not a great problem. Wang Yang's ambitions had also begun to rise. He wanted to use this horn polished by nature and refine the most powerful destined flying sword in the Pure Yang Palace. Because his cultivation had been stagnating, Wang Yang had become quite depressed, but now, Yang Chen had proved that, as long as he had the confidence, he could overcome every kind of heart's devil. Naturally, this was not some blind confidence, but confidence born from his heart, which could be relied upon. Wang Yang's current confidence was precisely aroused by the heaven measuring ruler and the Killin's horn. Because of the participation of the big sects, the problem of long Tai spirit supporting secrets had become much more critical. During this time, Yang Chen and the Pure Yang Palace had been watching from the sidelines without any intention to participate. But Yang Chen's confidence didn't have much of an influence on other people of the Pure Yang Palace. Since they had found out that other big sects had also participated, some elders strongly suggested to the palace master that the Pure Yang Palace must also not lag behind, that they should at least bring in the long Tai spirit supporting secrets and take a look. In the beginning the palace master was completely on Yang Chen's side and had strictly prohibited the disciples of the Pure Yang Palace from cultivating it, otherwise they would be expelled, but as the issue got more and more intense, the palace master was also slowly becoming unable to resist the pressure. The elders also wanted to research it under the pretense of thinking about the sect. After all, since the other sects were researching it, if only their little sect remained aloof, then wouldn't they lag behind others? Moreover, they could simply not allow common disciples to come in contact with it, but what was the harm in letting the wielding stage experts research it? Without anything in his support, the palace master could only go over and consult with Yang Chen. After all, the matter was raised by Yang Chen, and the warning was also given by him, so he probably should consult with Yang Chen about the issue. But how could Yang Chen agree? Even losing common disciples was very unfortunate, so about losing wielding stage experts. Did those big sects think that the main problem was the long Tai spirit supporting method? The crucial point was the heavenly meteor heart crystal. As long as they used even a little, they would be invaded by the heart's devil, and at that time, they wouldn't have the freedom to act independently. Our sect has already delayed the research for so long compared to other sects, so what's the harm in delaying it a little more? Yang Chen knew that there would inevitably be someone who would get impatient. Seeing the cultivation of the people in their surroundings rising leaps and bounds, these wielding stage experts were also feeling the pressure. Then how long should we delay it? The palace master had been under a lot of pressure and nodded approvingly towards Yang Chen's method. 2 more years. Yang Chen replied with certainty. In any case, we are already late, so 1 or 2 years won't make much of a difference. After 2 years, if those sects don't have any problems, then the elders of our sect can also start researching, but if they have any accidents, we will be saved from it. This was a good method which would satisfy everyone. The years on the path of cultivation were long, even more so for wielding stage expert. Since they had waited for the past 3 years, they would also not be that anxious. The impatient elders agreed to the proposal after some consultation. After all, this method had appeared very recently and had attracted everyone, but nobody knew where it had come from. So, first taking a look at how the other people were cultivating would be better. Apart from Yang Chen, nobody knew at the moment that there was no need to wait for 2 years. After just 1 year, Lin Cheng would appear, revealing the true character of the devil cultivation method. Only, the consequence of this would be that everyone who had cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting method or who had used it as a reference and taken the heavenly meteor heart crystal, no matter how high or low their cultivation was, would all become handicapped. And the cultivation of all these people would become the tonic for the devil Lin Cheng, whose cultivation would directly rise to the Da Cheng stage. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 167 And the Pure Yang Palace had been mocked. Among appreciation and criticism, the long Tai spirit supporting method continued to spread for another entire year. Within this year, countless people were able to take their revenge with their increased cultivation, which also helped spreading the long Tai spirit supporting secrets. Meanwhile, the dispute between the cultivators of both paths had never stopped. One day the disciple of a Tao sect discovered a deeply hidden devil cultivator and chased him to kill him. That devil cultivator had concealed himself quite deeply. He had been an officer within some city and acted like normal people on an ordinary day. If it were not that this Tao cultivator had accidentally discovered that there was a large amount of heavenly meteor heart crystal stored there, he would have been deceived by him. The petty official among the normal people having such a great number of heavenly meteor heart crystals, which could only be used by cultivators, was completely abnormal. That Tao cultivator was just about to investigate this matter thoroughly when the devil cultivator, knowing that he couldn't back out, took the initiative to attack him first. The devil cultivator's cultivation was very low, so he was defeated by the Tao cultivator very quickly, but the most astonishing thing was that the devil cultivator used some kind of trick and within a short amount of time, his cultivation surprisingly rose greatly. Seeing that things were far from reassuring, the Tao cultivator hastily ran away and finally escaped with his life. Since everything was already exposed, regardless of any worries, the devil cultivator began to increase his cultivation crazily. By the time when the Tao cultivator had returned with several others to eliminate him, he was astonished to discover that, within the period of a few days, that devil cultivator's cultivation had risen from the foundation stage to the Jidan stage and was still rising. While the devil cultivators' cultivation was rising, those Kai layer and foundation stage cultivators who had cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets on the other hand, suddenly discovered that in one night, their entire strength had disappeared completely, without rising in the least. Not only this, but their dantians were also more or less destroyed. This thing happened with a countless numbers of people, reaching over 10,000. This disaster made everyone who had previously cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets experience hell. After everyone discovered that something was not right, the matter was taken to experts who came to the conclusion that this devil cultivator was using some kind of special method to steal everyone's cultivation base, and the special method was precisely the long Tai spirit supporting secrets and the heavenly meteor heart crystals. After seeing the situation of the Kai layer and foundation stage cultivators who cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets, even those Zhanxian stage experts who had cultivated it began to get panicky. Currently, their cultivation base was still safe, but one thing was clear. If the enemy wanted to seize their cultivation, they wouldn't be able to do anything. The devil cultivator had disappeared into thin air, nobody knew his real identity, only that he was a small government official named Lin Cheng in the world of mortals. Under the joint search from everyone, Lin Cheng had hidden himself, but the calamity hadn't been resolved, instead it had just begun. After a period of 1 month, the Zhanxian experts also began to suffer from the effects. Since their cultivation was even higher, the time it took to lose their cultivation was even longer. What was more terrifying was that they didn't lose their cultivation all at once, and instead lost a small amount every day, as if Lin Cheng had eaten his fill of the day and couldn't digest anymore, so he was waiting for tomorrow to absorb some part again. The reality was very much like this. Every day the absorbed cultivation needed sufficient time to be refined, but this refining was many times faster compared to ordinary cultivators. But those Zhanxian experts who had already fallen into the trap could only helplessly stare at their cultivation being stolen, day by day. What could be more tormenting than losing all of their cultivation and becoming a cripple? This process continued every day, but it could not be stopped. This kind of immense torment even made many psychologically weak Zhanxian experts commit suicide. These experts had reached the Zhanxian stage after a long time of training and had been accustomed to living a comfortable life. How could they endure being the same as ordinary humans again? Not everyone was like Sun Kingxu, who had been very fierce and completely determined in the previous life and had risen so abruptly after her cultivation was destroyed. The loss of their cultivation was very painful for the great majority of people and could make them mentally collapse, unable to rise again. After just 2 months of the Zhanxian experts, it was time for the Yuning stage experts. The Yuning stage experts were usually very cautious and had only used the long Tai spirit supporting secrets to improve their own cultivation methods, so they believed there wouldn't be much of a problem, but when their cultivation also began to vanish gradually, it gave rise to a great panic. At least 10 Yuning stage experts had been participating in this, moreover, these people were the main supports of their respective sects and schools. Moreover, the existence of Yuning stage experts was the main strength of any sect. But during the calamity caused by Lin Cheng, these main pillars of support suffered a devastating damage. Up until now, this whole matter came to be known as the Great Calamity of the Devil cultivation among all of the Dao sects, since it had given a huge jolt to the entire cultivation world. More than 90% of Dao sects began to panic and madly unleashed their manpower, sparing no efforts to find the devil Lin Cheng. But Lin Cheng seemed to have disappeared completely. Apart from the fact that experts were still losing their cultivation slowly, which proved that he was still hidden at some secret location, Lin Cheng left no trail. Those 10 Yuning experts asked a group of experts within their sects to think of anything to save their cultivation and then slowly began to sink into a depression as their cultivation kept on declining. Regardless of what pill they took or whatever kind of method they used, it was of no use. People of those sects also could only watch the main support of their sect with helplessly. Seeing those experts like this, nobody could imagine how they could have been so excited when they cultivated this cultivation method. It was said that even 2 Dacheng stage experts had participated with those 10 Yuning stage experts. Although the influence still hadn't reached them, by the looks of it, they would be the next target. Finally someone remembered that even if the enemy was a devil cultivator, when trying to break through to the Dacheng stage from Yuning stage, it would certainly lead to the Yin fire tribulation, which would cause the spirit power in the surrounding 1,000 miles to fluctuate. Perhaps, with this, they would be able to find the whereabouts of this devil, Lin Cheng. Apparently, the best opportunity to strike would be when Lin Cheng was going through his tribulation. If someone was disturbed during their tribulation, if that person's cultivation was not sufficient, they would certainly die. As long as they were able to find the location where he was going to take the heavenly tribulation, that would be the best opportunity to defeat the devil and protect the Tao path. The news of people's cultivation being stolen also reached the Puryang Palace. When they heard this news, the first reaction of the elders was wondering if someone was distorting the truth or had gotten something wrong. When even more news came in and even some rogue cultivators of the Myking Mountain suffered from the calamity, everyone remembered the ban which the palace master had put and then started to sweat, thinking of the time when they had pressured the palace master to allow research, but were grateful to the palace master for postponing it. Fortunately, the palace master had listened to Yang Chen's advice and had placed a strict ban at that time. Otherwise, wouldn't the Pure Yang Palace also have suffered a great loss, like the other sects? All of the elders were even more traumatic. If they had forced the palace master without giving him any other option, then wouldn't they also have followed on the other victims' footsteps? Miserably despaired, losing their cultivation little by little every day until they became completely crippled. The loudest voice against Yang Chen's proposal, Elder Lin Yunfeng, was also greatly scared. It had to be known that, at that time, in order to strike at Yang Chen, he had convinced some elders to try and force him to repel his ban. The person who was behind this entire opposition was Elder Lin Yunfeng. But at that time, Yang Chen had said in front of him that if Elder Lin Yunfeng wanted to cultivate this method in any case, then he would absolutely not stop him. But the other elders could not follow his footsteps, and finally, following Yang Chen's advice, the palace master had postponed the method by 2 years. Originally, Elder Lin Yunfeng wanted to make a joke out of Yang Chen after 2 years and teach him a lesson. A trifling foundation stage disciple neither had the qualifications nor the strength to speak in an elder's matters, but now he had found out that, if it were not for Yang Chen, he, who was a majestic wielding stage expert, would have become a cripple. At that moment Lin Yunfeng didn't know how he should act towards Yang Chen. Should he thank him, or should he just not appear before him? Should he just continue to see him as an enemy? Having no choice, Elder Lin Yunfeng awkwardly entered closed-door training, thinking that this was perhaps the best option right now. The palace master and the few elders who had supported Lin Yunfeng at that time only remembered about their disciple, Yang Chen, after suffering from a bit of lingering fear. If it was not for him, the Pure Yang Palace would have also suffered a great loss. If anything would have happened to them, then the Pure Yang Palace would have certainly degraded to become a third-tier sect. For big sects like the Clear Sky sect or the Greatest Heaven sect, losing a few wielding stage experts was nothing, but for the Pure Yang Palace, it would have been a disastrous blow. In his previous life, this calamity had sown the seeds of the Pure Yang Palace's destruction. In this life, Yang Chen was finally able to save the Pure Yang Palace. After this incident, the Pure Yang Palace seemed to have started to walk on the path of becoming a top-grade sect. Among all of the Tao sects, only the Pure Yang Palace hadn't suffered any losses during this calamity. Furthermore, not even one of the lowest-level disciples had been lost. It could only be said to be a miracle when 99% of the sects had sustained damage and only the Pure Yang Palace had survived. Only at this time did someone recall that the Pure Yang Palace had warned everyone about the long Tai spirit supporting secrets at the beginning and had also officially informed all of the sects and had moreover placed a strict ban on this cultivation method inside of the sect. In these past few years, when the calamity of the devil cultivation had erupted completely, there was no sect whose disciples hadn't mocked the Pure Yang Palace, especially those who had cultivators who cultivated with this cultivation method. The Pure Yang Palace, which was only a second-rate sect, they couldn't even follow the general trend. Countless people treated the Pure Yang Palace as a subject of ridicule, and, even when they ran into some disciple of the Pure Yang Palace who was traveling outside, they would taunt them, making it difficult for the disciples of the Pure Yang Palace to leave the sect. Finally, when the calamity had started, everyone discovered who the real fool was, and it surely was not Pure Yang Palace. Many people also wanted to blame the Pure Yang Palace, since the Pure Yang Palace had known about this devil cultivation method, but didn't try to stop everyone with their full strength, but they could only think like this in their heart. At that time, the Pure Yang Palace had again and again sent out notifications to all of the sect leaders, but nobody had paid any attention. On what reasons could they now blame the Pure Yang Palace? Regretting now was already too late. The only thing they could do was to find the location where Lin Cheng would be undergoing his tribulation and completely destroy him. Only that would make the hatred in everyone's hearts disappear. All of the Tao sects in the entire world put their whole strength behind it. The Pure Yang Palace was no exception. All of the disciples within the sect who weren't undergoing closed-door training were sent out. All such disciples were divided into groups, and each group was headed by a wielding stage expert with one objective: to find the whereabouts of Lin Cheng. Naturally, Yang Chen was together with Gao Yu, and at the same time they were following his great master, Wang Yong, in his group. Apart them, the group also contained more than a dozen Jidan experts and over 100 foundation stage experts, all of whom were scattered in 100 miles radius and were always in contact. Yang Chen naturally remembered the position of Lin Cheng's tribulation, but it was not suitable for Yang Chen to reveal that at this time. Originally, Wang Yong would have been the most suitable person, but Yang Chen had an even more suitable candidate now. The establishment of the eccentric hall within the Pure Yang Palace had given risen to a heated discussion. They were people whom the Dao sects had always fought, how could they accept them? But over the fear of Elder Wu, nobody had publicly said anything. This opportunity was the best opportunity. As long as it could be proven that the demon beasts could also contribute for the Dao sects, then the voices against them would get smaller and smaller. After 3 days, there was finally some news from the side of the old tree demon. Although, the cultivation of Yuning stage experts was still being taken away bit by bit, that old tree demon's Da Cheng stage spiritual awareness had already locked onto the position of that devil Lin Cheng. He had to be in 100 miles area from that location. The news was passed on secretly to all of the big sects. At the same time, another news was also spread. The date of Lin Cheng's tribulation should be in 3 or 4 days. In reality, there were already experts of every sect who hadn't lost their cultivation spread in this region, but nobody was able to discover the location of Lin Cheng. The Da Cheng stage old tree demon on the other hand, relying on his spiritual awareness, had discovered the tracks of the spirit power stolen by the devil cultivation method and confirmed the location. After the verification, no sect had any doubt. All of them sent their elites to surround the area in a radius of several hundred miles, such that not even an ant could escape. This time, that devil Lin Cheng would not escape. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 168 Betting for a Kowtow. Although experts from every sect had surrounded the area in a radius of 100 miles, all of them were lying low and had concealed their presence, waiting for Lin Cheng to trigger the heavenly tribulation. But while all of them were hoping, this was just their wishful thinking. Yang Chen knew that, not only would Lin Cheng survive the tribulation and enter the Da Cheng stage, he would also take away the cultivation of those Da Cheng stage experts and would only then die from the backlash from absorbing too much spirit power. So after all was said and done, Lin Cheng finally died thanks to his own actions, which were not influenced by the Dao sects very much. If one absolutely wanted to prove that a trace of a connection existed, then it would only be that the pressure which the Dao sects had put on him had made him absorb this large amount of spirit power in such a short time, nothing more. If he hadn't become underconfident at that time, then he would definitely not have faced this kind of problem. Before the palace master had dispatched anyone on the mission, he had consulted Yang Chen about how should they approach this. In fact, the palace master consulting a disciple who had just recently become a foundation stage disciple was really quite outrageous. But the palace master couldn't help being careful regarding this great calamity of the devil cultivation. Yang Chen had shown great excellence, if it were not for Yang Chen, the Pure Yang Palace would not have gotten off so easily. Although Yang Chen had said that this information was offered by Elder Wu, in his heart, the palace master knew clearly that Elder Wu still hadn't ascended, but he hadn't said anything regarding any such matter. It was not that Elder Wu didn't have any friends among such experts, but he had never interfered with any matter before. Naturally, all of this was within Palace Master's head and he had never mentioned it to anyone. By now, he had stopped treating Yang Chen as a mere disciple and had instead started treating him as an elder. Yang Chen's advice could easily influence the Palace Master's attitude at all times. Lin Cheng is not a simple devil, we shouldn't simply follow the general conviction about him. Yang Chen didn't hide much from his Palace Master. In any case, when we said our warnings, nobody had listened to us, but if we don't fight with them, everyone will resent us. So when the time comes, we must send some forces, but they should not force themselves to fight and try to avoid casualties. So you mean that Lin Cheng will not be killed this time? Yang Chen's words made the palace master suck in a deep breath. From the time Yang Chen had strongly advocated that no disciple of Pure Yang Palace should be allowed to come in contact with the Long Tai spirit supporting secrets, even though it had shown huge benefits, until now, Yang Chen's ability of making judgments had received a large amount of respect in the palace master's eyes. So hearing Yang Chen's words this time, he immediately asked with alarm. Have you already forgotten the tribulation of the old tree demon? Yang Chen asked rhetorically. At that time, apart from genuine Da Cheng stage experts, who would be able to approach it? And if no one can approach it, then what else is there to do? That Hallmaster Kasha demon is a Da Cheng stage expert. If he doesn't contribute at that time, wouldn't it look bad? The palace master asked with some anxiousness. The Pure Yang Palace had established a good reputation with great difficulty, so he didn't want it to get destroyed so easily. The Greatest Heaven sect and the Clear Sky sect have many Da Cheng experts, my Pure Yang Palace has only one. Yang Chen shook his head. Although the palace master could also think of this, he didn't know if he should do anything about it or not. Yang Chen also only declared his point of view. After that, it was up to the palace master to judge this himself. After conversing with Yang Chen, the palace master formed a tacit understanding with the old tree demon that he would not instruct Gi Shanyu, the old tree demon, to fight until death. In any case, the Pure Yang Palace had acquired a defying stage expert after such a long time, so there was no need to fight with other sects over reputation. Gi Shanyu had lived for countless years and had thought about this matter very thoroughly. The palace master's instructions were exactly what he wanted, so after hearing those instructions, he left, understanding the exact situation. As Lin Cheng's tribulation was slowly approaching, day by day, the number of cultivators in the region also kept increasing, but nobody dared to enter within 100 miles of that region. Nobody wanted to fail at the last step because of impatience. People like Yang Chen and Gao Yu were at the most outer perimeter of the encirclement, while Wang Yong was at the very center. The cultivation of people of his kind were simply not of any use. In fact, from the beginning, after they had found the position of the devil Lin Cheng, the cultivators of the Jidan stage or lower had already been of no use in the matter. Yang Chen had only come here to participate and take a look at everything and hadn't intended on participating. But not everyone followed Yang Chen's way of thinking. Especially a few Jidan experts of the greatest heaven sect whose losses had been the most disastrous. Seeing Yang Chen acting so leisurely, they started to spread baseless rumors. Oh, isn't this Pure Yang Palace's fellow Taoist Yang? Does fellow Taoist Yang intend to show his brilliance in such a situation again? From within a group of cultivators, a tone filled with incomparable contempt was heard, but the person who had spoken was someone whom Yang Chen knew, someone who had already been humiliated by him at the heavenly stairs. Cheng Wenkai. By now, several years had passed from the time of the previous incident, but Cheng Wenkai was still brooding. At that time, due to his mistake, he had not only caused harm to Jidan experts of his sect, but also those of other sects, including himself, who had fallen to the foundation stage from the Jidan stage, and had moreover, suffered from a decrease in his life expectancy by many decades. In these several years, with the help of medicines and his own hard work, he had once again attained the Jidan stage, but he still resented Yang Chen, the perpetrator of his misfortune from the bottom of his heart. He was also the uncle master of Li Qingchen, who had been killed by Yang Chen a few years ago. Although it was a life and death duel and no side could ask for compensation from the victor, Cheng Wenkai remembered Yang Chen's name clearly. Moreover, in this great calamity of devil cultivation, the Pure Yang Palace had been the main leader, making all of the big sects, including the greatest heaven sect, embarrassed. A second-rate sect could see clearly and be on guard, but these top-notch sects had made such a simple mistake, they really couldn't say anything. Cheng Wenkai could feel that this was his sect's mistake, but he wanted to put some blame on the Pure Yang Palace, yet he had realized that it was obviously not possible, but what was the problem with spreading rumors? The humiliation of the sect added with his encounter with Yang Chen in those days, combined both the new and old hatred upon seeing Yang Chen again, so naturally a lot of thoughts rushed to his head, making it impossible for him not to speak out. How can this kind of situation be something where juniors like me can interfere? This junior only followed after master to broaden his horizons. Yang Chen wasn't fazed in the least by Cheng Wenkai's taunt, but since the enemy had ridiculed him, he would definitely not let him slip by, and so, with a courteous smile, he asked back. But Senior Cheng, on the contrary, whom Junior admires greatly, is the best candidate for eliminating the devil to defend the Tao. Even if Cheng Wenkai had again reached the Jidan stage, the price of decreased life he had to pay in return, and his Danshan had also been damaged. Now there was a limit to his cultivation. Besides, even if there wasn't any wear and tear, he was a trifling Jidan stage expert. For such an occasion, just being able to remain at the boundary of 100 miles was the limit. As for defeating the devil to protect the Tao, he was still too far. Yang Chen's sarcastic retort made Cheng Wenkai even angrier. If not for the wear and tear of that time, Cheng Wenkai would have cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets. But that time he was recuperating his Danshan, so he could only see the opportunity go by. When the entire truth was revealed, however, he was delighted over missing such an opportunity. But when someone had some prejudice, he could not see clearly anymore. In Cheng Wenkai's eyes, not only wasn't he grateful to the Pure Yang Palace for warning them promptly, it had also not warned them properly in his opinion, which had led to everyone being trapped. When his personal malice with Yang Chen was added in, Cheng Wenkai flew into a rage, which was something even a Jidan expert like him couldn't handle, so he directly ridiculed Yang Chen. Do you even know what you are talking about? Your trifling Pure Yang Palace dares to talk wildly about defeating the devil and defending the Tao. You are all just humiliating yourselves here. But he had also insulted the Pure Yang Palace while trying to humiliate Yang Chen. Hearing these words, not only was Yang Chen infuriated, but so was Gao Yu. From the start, Gao Yu was a person with a fiery temper, so she could not let Cheng Wenkai's comments, insulting the Pure Yang Palace, and her master Wang Yong, slip by easily, not to mention the insults to Yang Chen, her only disciple, with whom she went through pair cultivation for spiritual awareness. Hello Taoist Cheng, if you do not immediately take back your words, then, even though this Gao Yu is a woman, I will not tolerate your disgusting remarks about my Pure Yang Palace. Gao Yu's expressions became stiff and she immediately blurted out these words. Why, has this Cheng spoken something wrong? Cheng Wenkai sneered again. Aren't you both master and disciple still outside of the 100 miles perimeter? Or is there someone from your Pure Yang Palace that is in the front lines? In the end, let alone eliminating the devil and protecting the Tao, you cannot even touch the hair of the devil. Without waiting for Gao Yu to retort, Cheng Wenkai continued. In this great calamity of the devil cultivation, almost all of the sects had disastrous losses, and only your Pure Yang Palace hasn't suffered any losses. If you hadn't been in cahoots with that devil Lin Cheng, you wouldn't have the courage to ignore that devil cultivation method. And if you really didn't have the courage, then how are you going to cultivate to immortality? I advise you all to go back and hole up in your Miking Mountain so as to not give up your lives. Senior Cheng, since you have said that my Pure Yang Palace have been cahoots with Lin Cheng, then do you have some evidence to prove your claim? Not waiting for Gao Yu to open her mouth, Yang Chen loudly asked. Furthermore, is this only your opinion or of the entire Greatest Heaven sect? It doesn't matter whose opinion it was, you all don't have any use. It would be better if you all behaved properly and returned and cultivated on your gutless path to immortality. Since the sect had also been involved, Cheng Wenkai did not dare to open his mouth and only gave a vague reply, but the contempt in his words wasn't disguised even a bit. So that you don't interfere with everyone else's work here. By these words, does Senior Cheng mean that we, both master and disciple, would be a hindrance here? Yang Chen's tone had become even milder, he was still calling him as senior, but those familiar with Yang Chen could sense that he was already furious. You all are just a burden. Cheng Wenkai continued with his rude words. He had several Jidan stage fellow apprentices on his side, and he furthermore also had one Yuning stage uncle master with him, so in case of a dispute, he was not worried about Gao Yu becoming hostile. With this opinion firm in his mind, Cheng Wenkai became more and more rampant. Incompetent people can't even harm a hair of the devil and still talk of defeating the devil to protect the Tao. And senior, if this junior can touch that Lin Cheng's hairs, what will Senior Cheng do in return? Immediately following after Cheng Wenkai's words, Yang Chen asked full of smiles. How can that be possible? Cheng Wenkai didn't agree to anything and only continued to sneer. You little foundation stage cultivator still dare to say such big words. This youngster just wants to bet with Senior Cheng. Yang Chen still continued full of smiles. This junior will get Lin Cheng's hair. Does Senior Cheng dare to take the bet? Bet what? Cheng Wenkai's eyes shone, seemingly realizing that this Yang Chen had provided him with an opportunity to humiliate himself, so he hastily asked. If this junior loses, then this junior will kowtow in front of Senior and admit that this junior is a burden. Yang Chen directly put his stake forward, as if wanted to put himself in danger. What do you say? Good. I will agree to that. Expressions of Cheng Wenkai and his fellow disciples of the Greatest Heaven sect became more and more cheerful hearing the terms. If they could humiliate the Pure Yang Palace, which had caused their sect to lose so much face in the recent years using Yang Chen, that would be a great thing. But, if this junior wins, then what does Senior Cheng intends to bet? Yang Chen didn't give any opportunity to get a loophole to Cheng Wenkai and directly asked. What do you say about betting kowtow against kowtow? You are just a foundation stage disciple. A kowtow is too much. Cheng Wenkai was not fooled and directly shook his head. What if I am also added? However, Gao Yu, who had extreme trust in Yang Chen, also pitched in. If Yang Chen loses, we both master and disciple will kowtow to you. Good, since it is like this, then this Cheng will also get two people to admit their fault. Since Gao Yu was also a Jidan expert like him, Cheng Wenkai did not have any more rights to deny them. But he didn't believe that he had any chance of losing this bet and laughed very arrogantly. When the time comes, this Cheng will invite all of his friends to make them see both of you kowtowing to me. Since there were so many people on the scene, they also didn't need to take any oath. All of them were Jidan stage experts, so they would not say anything carelessly. Very quickly, this news began to spread among all of the cultivators. The foundation stage youngster thought that he could touch Lin Cheng's hair. He was either extremely reckless or extremely arrogant. Anyone who heard this news thought the same thing. Yang Chen, if you dare to lose, then I myself will drive you out of the sect and will not acknowledge you as my disciple anymore. Gao Yu was extremely angry and ordered Yang Chen to win. Although she herself did not know what methods Yang Chen had, she could not believe that Yang Chen would lose. This was a trust which was created from the successive miracles Yang Chen had produced. Then if disciple wins, what will I get? However, Yang Chen was enjoying seeing Gao Yu like this. What do you want? Gao Yu blankly gazed at Yang Chen and slowly asked. This disciple only wants master to promise me one thing. Suddenly Yang Chen thought of something and thought that his good fortune had finally helped him while raising this request. Good. Gao Yu agreed readily without asking for any details. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 169 The attackers become the nourishment. Since last time, after she had performed the pair cultivation with Yang Chen, she had started avoiding Yang Chen with the excuse of refining his flying sword because she was afraid of meeting Yang Chen. But this time, in the campaign against Lin Cheng, Gao Yu feared for Yang Chen having an accident. She knew that Yang Chen had the tendency to invite disaster, so she had been sticking to Yang Chen's side, sternly and carefully looking after him, in short, trying to avoid having Yang Chen harmed by anyone. But when Cheng Wenkai tried to underestimate Yang Chen, and with Gao Yu's disposition, she naturally became angry and immediately lost her self-control. All of a sudden this had become a matter of honor for master and disciple. Only after that did Cheng Wenkai and his party leave, laughing loudly and feeling proud of themselves. Gao Yu turned to Yang Chen and asked. A bet is a bet. Because of you I had to agree, so how do you intend to win? Just wait for the meat pie. Yang Chen was unable to give an adequate explanation to Gao Yu, but he could say this. In any case, only a hair of Lin Cheng is at stake, which I can easily obtain with the help of old man Gi. Initially, Gao Yu still had some doubts, but once she thought of Gi Shanyu's formidable strength, she nodded, feeling relieved. For a defying stage expert like him, maybe killing Lin Cheng would be difficult, but getting a hair during the fight should be very easy. Then what should we now? At this moment, Gao Yu absolutely did not appear like a master and was instead just following Yang Chen's commands. It's a good opportunity to practice my newly obtained magic weapon. Yang Chen mysteriously smiled and spoke. While speaking, he clutched the sword embryo made from the blood phantom vine and inserted it into a thick tree on the side. What kind of magic weapon is this? Gao Yu suspiciously looked at Yang Chen's actions and asked in bewilderment. How can it be used? This is a wood-attributed magic weapon which hasn't taken shape completely. It needs to absorb a large amount of first wood spirit power to form completely. Yang Chen casually told a lie. If it started absorbing, normal trees wouldn't be able to bear it, and I also don't want to harm those trees of the Myking Mountain, so I thought of using it to absorb some of the larger trees here. There was wood-attributed spirit power surrounding it, so Gao Yu wasn't able to discover if it was first wood or second wood spirit power at that moment. But since Yang Chen had explained everything without any hesitation, she didn't have any suspicions. Although Cheng Wenkai had left, he had left behind a foundation stage disciple of the greatest heaven sect to keep an eye on Yang Chen. That disciple had clearly heard Yang Chen's words, but he did not think about it much, sneering at Yang Chen for a moment. This large tree was thick enough that it could not even be encompassed by both arms, but it had very low spirit quality. What use would there be to absorb such trees? Following this, under the gaze of that disciple filled who was with contempt and astonishment, Yang Chen and Gao Yu continued the way they had planned. Gao Yu was following after Yang Chen, going from place to place, looking after such large trees, and then inserting the blood-colored sword embryo into the trees to absorb their spirit power. The attitude of both people was very casual and completely relaxed, as if treating the matter of Lin Cheng as just another incident to gain knowledge and experience. Only for the sake of appearances in front of other people did they not do anything unusual. Let alone Yang Chen, who was just a foundation stage expert. Even the Jidan expert, Gao Yu, was not of much use in this great calamity of devil cultivation. They were just two voices among the shouting of the crowd present. While the two people were relaxing, the day of Lin Cheng's tribulation arrived. When the yin fire tribulation descended, all of the cultivators within a radius of several hundred miles of that region immediately sensed that formidable power. The cultivation of that old devil was so formidable that the power and momentum of the yin fire had exceeded the expectations of those experts who had intended to jointly attack him from a distance. Those experts who had been feeling complacent with their plans previously began to grow nervous under the formidable yin fire tribulation. Even those defying stage experts did not dare to advance lightly before this tribulation. All of these people even had the thought that, if they advanced, they would also be targets of the tribulation. Even though these defying stage experts had already passed their yin fire tribulation, because they had already experienced it once, they knew how formidable the yin fire was. They hadn't anticipated that the tribulation triggered by Lin Cheng would be so formidable. The more powerful a heavenly tribulation was, the more formidable was the cultivation of the person. After thinking of this, everyone had almost given up all hopes. If they could not use the time of his tribulation to attack him, then with this kind of cultivation, after passing the tribulation, he would definitely come to kill everyone who had attacked him, which was something nobody wanted to see. In such a situation there was only one way, which was that those Dacheng stage experts, together with the Yuning stage experts, would attack Lin Cheng, who was undergoing his tribulation with their most powerful magic weapons. Even if their magic weapons were destroyed by the effect of the heavenly tribulation, they had to distract Lin Cheng. The heavenly tribulation had already started and the occasion demanded immediate action. At this moment, those who had suffered this bitter pain of this great calamity clearly realized that trying to kill Lin Cheng after he had passed the tribulation would be even more difficult. Especially those sects to which those Dacheng stage cultivators who had cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets belonged would be unable to bear the loss of these Dacheng stage experts after Lin Cheng had reached the Dacheng stage. Countless Zhedan and Yuning stage cultivators had already proven that, as long as Lin Cheng's cultivation exceeded theirs, their cultivation would certainly become a tonic for Lin Cheng, without exception. Under such circumstances, the few sects experts joined together and, taking out their magic weapons and destined magic weapons, under the leadership of a Dacheng stage expert from the greatest heaven sect who had cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets, they all took out their magic weapons and rushed to attack Lin Cheng within the perimeter. In this matter of finding the region where Lin Cheng would undergo his tribulation, the old tree demon, Di Shanyu, had played a pivotal role. And at the time of attacking Lin Cheng, the old tree demon uprooted a small mountain and smashed it into the location of Lin Cheng. But although he was very formidable, he still couldn't be compared to those experts who had their destined magic weapons with them. He couldn't be blamed however. Even now, he still didn't have a destined magic weapon. Being a demon beast, he had an inherent weakness regarding the refining tools which everyone knew about, so he couldn't be blamed. Within the rumbling sound, the most powerful attacks of those Yuning stage and Dacheng stage experts, with their most powerful magic weapons, had triggered a fluctuation in the energy of heaven and earth, which made all of the ordinary people and animals within 100 miles radius immediately lose consciousness. Within a 10 miles radius of Lin Cheng's location, other than those Yuning and Dacheng stage experts, none could enter. Under the bombardment of countless magic weapons, even Lin Cheng was distracted, having to deal with them. But the yin fire tribulation helped him greatly. As long as something approached the region of the heavenly tribulation and was affected by the spirit power in the region, the tribulation also spread to it. Once those magic weapons entered the region, they immediately began to burn from the yin fire. Countless Yuning experts had to bear the pain of their magic weapons being burned by the yin fire. Their cultivation was not sufficient to trigger the yin fire tribulation, but they still had to bear at least 20% of the yin fire tribulation. Those magic weapons which were bearing the brunt also began to burn immediately. Everyone had realized that, this time, those magic weapons would not return. Although those magic weapons were precious, compared to a sect's prosperity and their own lives in the future, they could be abandoned at any time. Even if they sustained such a loss, but were in turn able to inflict heavy losses on Lin Cheng, it would still be worth it. The figure of Lin Cheng was suspended in the air within the tribulation. Lin Cheng was a devil cultivator, and the most prominent characteristic of devil cultivation was that, although it was very easy for a devil cultivator to start on the path of immortality, and his cultivation in the earlier stages would also increase quite rapidly as the devil cultivation reached the later stages. Cultivation became more and more difficult and under the continuous attacks of Heart's devils. Within the short time of 1 year, Lin Cheng's cultivation had risen from the Kai layer to the peak of the Yuning stage. Not to mention a devil like him, even if it was Yang Chen, someone who had been reborn and whose mental fortitude exceeded even those of the Dacheng stage, he still wouldn't remain completely unaffected. It had too been said that the techniques of Dao sects were completely fine. He was already unstable to begin with, and then at the time of his tribulation, he suffered from a joint attack by everyone. Even if Lin Cheng had 2 lives, he still would be swallowed by the tribulation. Lin Cheng was extremely formidable, but everyone had attacked him together, pouring their complete strength into this one attack. Yet this reckless attack was of no use. Although the attack had created large complications for Lin Cheng, at the same time they had also given him a huge opportunity. The magic weapons of countless Yuning and Dacheng stage experts had scattered a majority of the yin fire tribulation strength. The instant the attacks reached his body, Lin Cheng had a sensation of certain death, but when he had completely relinquished everything and had accepted his certain death, he was surprised to discover that the yin fire tribulation had lost the majority of its strength. What was most surprising for Lin Cheng was that, when he had believed that he would certainly die, it had made him forget all of the distracting thoughts and lose sight of the attacks from all these people, making him feel completely relaxed, which had made him achieve a sudden enlightenment at the time. To be able to use this cultivation method to cheat so many people, Lin Cheng was an extremely intelligent person. During this flash of realization, it made him discover the method to overcome the heart's devils. Moreover, he also had countless magic weapons suffer the burden of the heavenly tribulation, so even though initially, he had lost all of his spirit power and was spitting blood, appearing to be at his last breath, at that moment, he was tenaciously bearing the test of the yin fire, while at the same time also shedding impurities. No one had anticipated this, including Yang Chen. He only remembered that Lin Cheng hadn't died because of everyone's attacks while undergoing his tribulation, but he didn't know the complete story. Meanwhile everyone was going all out to resist the yin fire burning their magic weapons and were weakly attacking Lin Cheng, with the expectation of Lin Cheng being burned to ashes by the yin fire. With each attack of yin fire on Lin Cheng, his figure became more and more dispirited, with each attack, everyone could see him madly spitting blood. This kind of appearance made everyone become even more hopeful, so everyone pooled their strengths to resist the yin fire. Their magic weapons were moving with difficulty, trying to attack and slice through Lin Cheng's body. With every attack, Lin Cheng continued to deteriorate steadily, appearing as if, with just one slight attack, he would immediately fall and turn to dust. Only a trace of life seemed to be left within of Lin Cheng in everyone's eyes and in their spiritual awareness. By this moment, all of them had become completely confident that Lin Cheng would die at any moment. A fifth attack, a sixth, a seventh, an eighth, a ninth in front of everyone, continuous attacks of yin fire, fell upon Lin Cheng's body, but, like a cockroach, Lin Cheng remained tenacious, with just that trace of vitality. By the time of the ninth tribulation fire, that Da Cheng stage expert of the greatest heaven sect couldn't help but rush forward towards him with a speed comparable to lightning. Lin Cheng ought to be in the weakest state at the instant the tribulation had just ended and, seeing Lin Cheng's appearance, with just a small attack, the mission of eliminating the devil to defend the Tao would be accomplished, while his fame would reach new heights. But, just as the elder reached within 100 feet of Lin Cheng's body, Lin Cheng's eyes suddenly opened and two rays of light, completely bloodshot, directly shot towards his face. Nuo. The greatest heaven sect's Da Cheng stage elder suddenly discovered that the spirit power in his body had gone out of his control and had begun to disappear rapidly, but Lin Cheng's vitality on the other hand began to grow stronger and stronger. For Lin Cheng, those cultivators who had cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting secrets were simply the best kind of potion. Moreover, this elder of the greatest heaven sect had delivered himself to his doorstep at this most dire time. Before the other people could respond, the elder of the greatest heaven sect had already lost the ability to move and was completely under the control of Lin Cheng. Within a short time, his outstanding cultivation became a potion for Lin Cheng. His original appearance of a middle-aged man had quickly turned into that of an old man. The situation happened too fast, and by the time others realized, Lin Cheng had already reached his peak condition. His bloodshot eyes glaring at everyone. Suddenly he started sneering while flying in the air. "It's terrible. Elder Liu has fallen under his evil schemes. Everyone attack immediately." Another elder who had also cultivated the long Tai spirit supporting method also realized the imminent catastrophe in front of him and hastily reminded everyone. Unfortunately, he was already too late. He had just yelled this when he suddenly lost control of his body. His body started to decay in front of his eyes and very soon he became an old man with a white beard at his last breath. Soon after that, Lin Cheng continued to smile mischievously. In front of him, spread in the radius of 100 miles were several Shen-faced Yuning stage experts. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 170 Surround and Kill the Devil. Numerous Yuning stage experts had their destined magic weapons destroyed and had sustained injuries. The other Yuning experts who didn't have a destined magic weapon also had their most powerful magic weapons destroyed by the yin fire, which had greatly lowered their strength. But unfortunately, at this frightening time, in front of them was this frightening devil who had just passed the yin fire tribulation. The fact which made the situation even more hopeless was that two of their most powerful experts had been turned into his cultivation resources. The only remaining expert was Green Jade Immortal Island's Elder Min Huifeng, as well as Pure Yang Palace's Gi Shanyu. Obviously, Elder Min Huifeng had become everyone's last hope. But before Elder Min Huifeng could do anything, that Da Cheng stage elder of the greatest heaven sect who was the first to attack returned. With his body gradually getting older and seeming to be hanging by a thread, like a puppet, he quickly returned to everyone's side. Bang. Under everyone's gaze, the bodies of both Da Cheng experts suddenly exploded. Pieces of flesh filled with a crazy amount of energy came flying towards the Yuning stage experts. The countless Yuning experts weren't on their guards and they hadn't expected that Lin Cheng could be so malevolent that, even after stealing their cultivation, he would also explode their bodies. Since nobody was on guard, those Yuning experts didn't have a presentable defense, and just when everyone was going to be injured by this ruthless attack, everybody was covered by a huge net, which firmly held those pieces of flesh outside. Actually, the old tree demon Zhanxian had tried to stop the attack by trying to stop those pieces of flesh, but even then, cracks started to appear in some of the branches of the network. Those Yuning experts who were exposed started shuddering and spat blood. With just this one attack, the disparity in strength between the old tree demon and Lin Cheng was clear. The enemy still hadn't attacked directly, but the branches of the old tree demon had already suffered damage. Clearly the difference in strength was not small. Only, at this time, nobody made any cynical remarks. This time, the old tree demon had obstructed this attack and saved the lives of countless people. That precisely was camaraderie, and comrades who have anger towards a common enemy should deal with it together. Then Green Jade Immortal Island's elder Min Huifeng directly rushed towards Lin Cheng. Regardless of how many people's cultivation he had stolen, he had just reached the defying stage and should still be weak. He also hadn't consolidated his realm, so even though he appeared to be extremely formidable, he still couldn't completely cover up his injuries. Bang. 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 Countless violent sounds started to echo in the surroundings. The violent fluctuations in the air made those Yuning stage experts shiver. Heal yourselves quickly. The old tree demon's voice echoed in the ears of every Yuning stage expert in the group. I can't support you for long. Following the words of old tree demon, one by one, small medicine bottles began to fly towards those Yuning experts. Within the bottles were third-grade Yuan cultivation pills refined by Yang Chen. Although the effect on severe injuries was not much, it was very good against regular wear and tear. Everyone was conscious of the situation, so nobody showed any modesty and directly took the pill, healing on one side while watching the battle on the other. One can easily imagine how berserk a battle between two defying stage experts would be. The aftershocks of that crazy battle was even reaching their location, and even those branches of the old tree demon, which were protecting those Yuning experts, issued cracking sounds with some small branches directly disintegrating. Wise people also noticed something. At the beginning, people were still afraid of the defying expert of the Puryang Palace, but now, although the old tree demon was far more powerful than them, compared to genuine defying experts of the Tao and Devil sects, the disparity was too large. Not only did he not have any destined magic weapon, but he was also being harmed by the aftershocks from the battle between those two experts. These facts added together with some more things, like him rushing in without caring for himself and then providing everyone with pills in their time of need, made everyone quickly acknowledge him. Originally, he was only invited to the campaign as a formality, but right now, since he wasn't a great threat and would also not influence the harmony of the sects, moreover he had indeed shown great valor, the fact that Zhanxian was a demon beast didn't seem so outstanding anymore. Thus, Puryang Palace's eccentric hall was genuinely accepted by everyone with its hallmaster. The effects of Yang Chen's third-grade Yuan cultivation pill was astonishing. Very quickly these Yuning experts discovered this anomaly, and after their bodies had recovered, they rushed out of the old tree demon's confinement to join the battle. Only a few experts, who had suffered severe injuries to their spiritual awareness because of their destined magic weapons being destroyed, remained behind within the protection. If he was really pitted against Lin Cheng, then with his profound strength, the old tree demon could easily match or maybe critically injure him. But after hearing Yang Chen's explanation, he understood what was going on and did not show much of his strength. In any case, after finding Lin Cheng's location without any losses, the Puryang Palace had already gained the greatest glory. Now the mission of destroying the devil to protect the Tao should be handled by these big sects so that they could also save face. This method was beneficial to everyone. From the time when he was at the Greater Mountains, Zhanxian had learned the art of patience. He had concealed himself so well at the Greater Mountains that he wasn't discovered by anyone for several decades. Playing the role of an expert whose cultivation was not completely pure was an easy matter for him to acquire the trust of these people. Currently, he hasn't properly consolidated his realm, so attack fiercely. We must not allow him to reach his prime. With the addition of several Yuning experts, the pressure on Min Huifeng had decreased greatly and she also began to organize their attacks. Everyone knew that, if they did not take advantage of the situation, eliminated this old devil and let him escape, then he would certainly become a nightmare for all of these sects in the future. That's why nobody shrunk back, even if it was a battle between defying stage experts, they still rushed forward to attack. Immediately, casualties began to appear. Initially, the battle was between two defying stage experts who were both equally matched, but after those several Yuning stage experts had joined in, the battle was completely different. Bang. One Yuning expert was beaten and thrown out of the fight, flying on one side, while puffing blood. One of the old tree demon's branches rapidly grabbed him, brought him back, and forcefully fed him a Yuan cultivation pill. At the same time, Elder Min Huifeng's attack fiercely hit Lin Cheng, making that cunning devil recoil, raging again and again. The scene immediately grew lively, but those Jedan experts outside of the 100 miles confinement simply could not come in. Not to mention people like Yang Chen, who were farthest outside and had just come to broaden their horizons. Still, Yang Chen was not very concerned about the situation inside. In any case, that stupid Lin Cheng would finally die because of the backlash caused by the surplus in spirit power he had consumed, so Yang Chen wasn't worried even a little about him remaining alive. Absorbing other people's cultivation was nice and easy, and the cultivation would also increase very rapidly, but absorbing the cultivation of two Da Cheng experts, moreover with both of them having different attributes, was just a surefire way to die quickly. Apart from Yang Chen, perhaps only Lin Cheng understood this point. The present him had to be regretting that he had become so overwhelmed by the pressure that he had completely absorbed the cultivation of a second Da Cheng stage expert as well. The spirit power in his body seemed to be boiling. Both experts had different attributes and thus a completely different cultivation method, which were basically the opposites of each other. So the inside of Lin Cheng's body was currently also like a battlefield, with spirit power crazily fighting itself. For the onlookers, although he was dealing with the Green Jade Immortal Island's Eldermen quite proficiently, he himself understood the trouble with his spirit power. If he had only absorbed the cultivation of one Da Cheng expert, then maybe the problem would not have become so large and he would have been in an advantageous state. But the only one to be blamed was Lin Cheng's greed. Together with his usual habits, with those Da Cheng stage experts in front of him, he just had to absorb their cultivation, no matter how many people were in front of him. There were not many Yuaning stage experts who had cultivated the Long Tai spirit supporting secrets, but there were still a dozen of them. Although they also had different attributes, they contained all attributes, so a balance could be formed. But unfortunately, there were only two Da Cheng stage experts, and their attributes were such that one attribute restrained the other, which finally made him taste the punishment for his greed. Although he had been able to forcefully bear the damage caused by the interference with his tribulation and had been able to hide the damage, but after he had absorbed the cultivation of these two Da Cheng experts, who had opposing attributes, in order to recover, Lin Cheng was just a spent force. Although Eldermen of the Green Jade Immortal Islands hadn't thought of this point until later, once she noticed, she was sure that passing through the tribulation was not that easy for him. But the attack by the group of experts in coordination with the Elder, they very quickly forced Lin Cheng into a corner. This time, everyone could see that, even though Lin Cheng had many remarkable abilities, he still couldn't escape the net of so many experts. Lin Cheng's condition had become very bad and the spirit power within his body had already started revolting, together with the force of many people attacking him with their weapons, this has incessantly been consuming his strength. Furthermore, whenever he attacked a Yuaning stage expert with the intent to kill, he would always be blocked by the old tree demon just after he had injured the Yuaning expert and wanted to finish the job. The injured Yuaning stage experts would somehow always bump across the old tree demon's attack, and when Lin Cheng wanted to escape from the entrapment by using the confusion it created, he would be stopped by the attack of the old tree demon at the most crucial time, and then his entire effort would be ruined. After several tries, Lin Cheng almost went crazy because of his anger. This time, he also did not dare to hold anything back before thinking of leaving here alive. Suddenly he clenched his teeth and loudly shouted, signifying that he had used some forbidden technique. Within the mother-son devil cultivation, there was a demon body cultivation method which would increase the cultivation of a person rapidly in return for a heavy price, including a decreased lifespan and vitality. Lin Cheng had unleashed precisely this forbidden technique. Bang! Suddenly everyone who was surrounding Lin Cheng discovered that his speed had increased. Those Yuaning experts who were only daring to attack him from a distance were caught off guard as nobody had anticipated this kind of development and many of them immediately went to the netherworld after being pierced by Lin Cheng. Previously, Elder Min had planned to attack with several Yuaning experts and slowly kill that devil, but when such a large number of casualties appeared suddenly, Elder Min became furious and immediately renounced that plan. The furious Elder Min was even planning to charge in without caring for her injuries and take down Lin Cheng together with her. But after using the forbidden technique, Lin Cheng's speed became terrifying, moreover, it was clear that his cultivation had also increased greatly. But he still didn't want to tangle with Elder Min and instead wanted to deal with those surrounding Yuaning stage experts. Seeing that the turn of events was far from encouraging, the old tree demon also joined the fray, but he could only protect a few Yuaning experts in time, and these people were only Yuaning experts from sects which Yang Chen had repeatedly reminded him about. As for other Yuaning experts, they were frantically hunted by the raging Lin Cheng. Within just a few moments, many Yuaning experts had been killed by Lin Cheng. But by the time they were killed, Elder Min had also caught up with him and began to crazily attack him. At this moment, Yang Chen was inserting his sword embryo, formed of the blood phantom vine, into the huge tree trunk of a very old tree. This old tree was many times thicker than those trees which Yang Chen had found earlier. Within 3 to 4 hours, they should be done, right? Looking in the direction of the ferocious battle and sensing the fluctuation in the energy of heaven and earth, Yang Chen asked himself. This was already the 100th tree which Yang Chen had emptied, so after some thought, he reached the conclusion that, after this tree, he would not need to expand a large amount of effort, but this magic weapon was also essentially completed. Let's wait a second. Bao Yu also looked in the direction of the battle. Equally concerned, but not knowing what to do. The wager between Yang Chen and Cheng Wenkai still hadn't been completed, yet Yang Chen hadn't shown any traces of worry, and this baffled Gao Yu. After killing the Yuning experts, Lin Cheng sensed that he wouldn't be able to fight for long. If he did not run away at this moment, later he would not get any chance to flee. I have been greatly entertained today, and this Lin is grateful for that, but this Lin will now take his leave. Lin Cheng sneered and turned into a ray of light, entered the ground and disappeared from everyone's view. Mysterious Devil 5 Phases Blood Evasion. This was the most powerful escaping technique which Lin Cheng had mastered. Using this method, his body would turn into a ray of light, and regardless of the attribute of the material, he could escape through all. Shua. Elder Min also chased after Lin Cheng's presence, pursuing him closely, and the old tree demon loudly shouted, releasing all of the experts, after which his body flashed once, and he also chased after him. How could Lin Cheng still even dare to think of fighting with 2 Da Cheng experts while continuing to crazily use the devil cultivation? He couldn't even pick a proper path in his panic. During the whole journey, Lin Cheng had sensed the presence of Dao Sex Jidan cultivators just above him. He sneered within his heart but didn't appear openly and simply immersed himself deeper to escape. Rapidly, he had reached the outermost layer of the perimeter formed by the Dao Sex. Lin Cheng didn't have any more worries after he had left Gi Shanyu and Elder Min far behind. Sensing the presence of younger generations ahead, he looked for a large tree between them and escaped. Yang Chen when he sensed a trace of someone's presence and immediately pulled Gao Yu behind him and retreated. Soon afterwards, everyone saw a person's silhouette rushing away from the top of a tree. But the silhouette had barely ascended a few meters when it suddenly separated into 2 parts and fell down. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more.